Tell me again.
I didn't feel him or anything. Me to hand a mother their dead child and say, have a nice night.
So can we can we just
Go!
On October 18th, 2018, Heather Gardner made a late-night trip to a laundromat, hoping to catch up on her chores for the week. With her was her sister Jessie, as well as Heather's two sons, her toddler Jathan and her 2-month-old baby Benson. As the two women got to work with the laundry, Jessie made a shocking discovery. Benson was ice cold to the touch, and his lips had gone blue. Terrified, Heather began CPR while her sister made a harrowing phone call to 911.
Adelson County 911. Please, I'm at the laundromat on the corner of 3rd and Union. Please. At the corner of the laundromat on the corner. Stop. 923. 923. 3rd Ave or something. Merrill Ave or something. I'm not sure. Okay, 3rd Ave and Merrill Ave are very different places. Which one are you at? 923. It's a laundromat. I don't know the name of it, but I have another child in my arms. My sister's baby is dead. We just picked him up on the babysitter. CPR. I need to start CPR on that baby. We don't know how. Is he? You have him on his back? Yep, he's on his back. Okay, I need you to tip his head back. He's freezing cold. Tip his head back, Heather. Tip his head back. Like that. I need you to blow into his mouth. No, close. Nose? Into his nose. Laundromat. We're at the laundromat. I don't know what to do. I can't call you on your run. Yes, we're here. Yes, but the baby is still not breathing. You gotta have his head to back. Okay, what am I doing this? Can we do chest compression? Yes, I need you to start. I need you to listen to me. Yep. Did you blow into his mouth 2 times? Okay, I gotta go walk up to here. Yes, I am. Blow into his mouth 2 times. Plug his nose. He's freezing cold already. Okay, ma'am, I need you to take your hand and put it in the middle of his chest. Okay. Okay, and you're gonna push on his chest. Okay. And count with me. Ready? Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
As Heather continues to follow the 911 operator's instructions, officers arrive on scene and are quick to take over.
Are the police in there? Yes. Okay. I just opened the baby and she next to my clothes and I took them off. It was cold and not moving. I can't do this. I gotta get Jason.
When the ambulance finally arrives, Benson is rushed inside for life-saving measures. Unfortunately, there's nothing they can do for him, and he's officially declared deceased. The immediate question was whether this was a case of something like SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, or if something far more unimaginable had occurred. Desperate for answers, Heather and Jessie tearfully explained to the officers what's going on.
What exactly happened?
We just picked him up from the babysitter. I took him out of there and he was cold.
Despite the horror and trauma that Heather's going through, the officer is able to get the babysitter's name from her.
Marissa Tietsort?
Yeah.
As officers handle getting Marissa Tietsort's address and information, Detective Jennifer Holtz arrives on scene and sits down to interview Heather and Jessie. The following mostly never-before-seen footage has been thoroughly analyzed by a former licensed professional counselor, a licensed professional counselor, and a licensed clinical psychologist. Before the interview can start, Jessie gives Detective Holtz some unfortunate news.
Sorry, I sent her a text too on Heather's phone and when this was all happening. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have. But I said, you killed my sister's baby.
What did she say?
She didn't say anything back. Sorry.
Can you tell that she read it?
I was just very angry.
It's like a Facebook message or a text?
A text. It doesn't say shit. Sorry.
No, sorry.
I just was really angry and it was just like, I was on Heather's phone and I saw her name and I just couldn't say I'm sorry.
While this may not seem significant at first, it would turn out to be very important. Although the police can't head to Marissa's apartment to talk just yet, they do send an officer over to her building.
Yeah.
The interview then gets underway, and at first, everything Heather and Jessie describe sounds normal. Heather was a longtime friend of Marissa's, and Marissa had been babysitting her kids whenever Heather had to work. However, as Heather and Jesse describe their interactions with Marissa while picking up the kids that night, it becomes clear that something was very, very wrong.
You guys both went inside.
No, she didn't even let us inside.
Yeah,
she met us at the door. And then Marissa handed me the other baby. Yep, and just the diaper bag. And then Heather was in the doorway for 2 seconds and said something about the hickey. And then door shut, we were gone.
And so it was just real quick. Like,
yeah. She was like,
she was at the door ready with the kid.
That girl's face was beat. Usually she
I'm
not kidding you. What I thought in my head was, Jesus Christ, what the hell is she on?
And usually she's like, okay, what time tomorrow? Or, you know, see you tomorrow.
It was nothing. I'm like, nothing.
This is super unusual.
Usually I go in the house and I help her at least pack the kids in their car. The kid, baby in his car seat. And what was Adam doing? Just sitting on the couch? Sitting on the couch with his baby. Was he like acting weird, shaking or anything? I didn't even barely look at him. It was dark in there. All that was on was the TV. She just seemed so weird to me. Yeah, but she is never really there. But it was. But it was very. I know Marissa. And it was just. And it was just weird. Something was really off.
There's no denying that Marissa was acting suspiciously, and it was quickly becoming evident to Detective Holtz that if she wanted to find out the truth about Benson's death, she was going to have to find Marissa. Unfortunately, this would prove harder than anyone was expecting. Detective Holtz made her way to the apartment Marissa shared with Adam, her longtime boyfriend and the father of her children. With Jesse having texted Marissa about Benson's death, Detective Holtz wasn't sure what to expect when she got to the apartment. Just to be safe, she brought several officers along for backup, as well as Captain Graham.
Just relax.
Marissa, we're not going away. Open the door.
It soon became evident that no one was going to answer the door, leading officers to take drastic measures.
Police department, arrest warrant.
What's up, police? Anybody in here? Kids' room. Show me your hands, anybody?
Just as they'd feared, Marissa was nowhere to be seen, but this didn't mean all hope was lost. Detective Holtz was able to get in touch with Marissa's service provider and have her phone tracked down to a local hotel known as the Plaza. Within an hour, Holtz and Graham were standing in front of Marissa's hotel door.
Morning, Adam.
Morning.
Is Marissa here?
What are you guys doing here?
Please, Adam, just cooperate with us, okay? We'll explain everything in a second.
Well, you already charged her. What the fuck?
Adam, stay here.
No. You guys are harassing the hell out of us. And she already got charged. We'll be at court. Why you gotta come here?
Well, because we need to talk to her about something new.
Something new?
Yep. Marissa, I need you to wake up. Why are you guys here?
Because we wanted to get away. We got it.
From what?
Everything. Isn't it against the law to come stay at a hotel room for the night?
Can you get up so I can talk to you?
Now that the police finally have Marissa and Adam located, it's time to separate them for interviews and see if they have any information about what may have happened to Benson.
This is a very important conversation we're about to have, okay? Tell me about taking care of him today.
Oh, I was just watching him, and UT was fine.
Notice Marissa's upward inflection at the end of her sentence when she says he was fine.
UT was fine.
This is not typical of a statement, but rather a question, which indicates that Marissa isn't feeling sure about what she's saying.
That was about it.
Did you feed him, or?
I fed him once, and then he slept, and... Well, we went outside when they first got there a little bit, so... It was
You
nice
and
out.
the kids?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Was he dressed in what?
He was dressed in a snowsuit and a blanket.
Okay. And then you were home alone, and then what time did Adam get home?
He got home at like almost, I don't know, maybe 6:30 or something like that.
Where was he at?
He was hunting.
Okay. And then what did you guys do after that, after Adam got home?
We went to eat a little bit after he got home.
And where'd you go?
McDonald's.
Which one?
The one over by the courthouse.
Okay. go inside through the drive-thru?
We went inside.
Okay. How long did you stay there?
I don't know, about maybe 15 minutes tops.
Okay. So did you eat inside, or you just grab the food and then go?
We ate inside.
Okay. You were able to finish your meal in 15 minutes? That's pretty good. Okay.
He ate when he got there, and that was about it.
One bottle, like a full one, half one?
He ate like 4 ounces.
Okay.
But yeah, he like eats it depends.
Did Heather send that with you pre-made, or did you make that up? The bottle?
She sent it pre-made, and then I made another one, so.
Okay. And then what happened? And did you come straight home after McDonald's?
Mm-hmm.
The only place you went outside of the house was McDonald's? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then came straight home, and anything significant happen?
No. We came home after McDonald's. We put a movie in, then like, I don't know how long it was after, but she called and she's like, I'm putting my clothes in the dryer and then I'll be there. And then like 15 minutes she came there, so.
Okay. And did you have him ready, or did she get him ready?
Yeah, I had him ready. I left him in his car seat.
Okay. How long had he been in his car seat?
After McDonald's, it was only like half hour, 45 minutes maybe.
Okay.
It was right after McDonald's. I just left him in his car seat and then...
You didn't take him back out?
No, because usually she's there at like 9:30. So.
Throughout this initial statement, Marissa is repeatedly saying, and then.
And then he slept, and then.
This usually indicates something being left out in someone's story. In an interview, detectives will dive more deeply into portions of the story where a suspect is repeatedly using phrases like, and then, or, and this happened.
Was he awake the whole time?
No, he was sleeping.
When?
The whole time.
The whole time you babysat him?
Well, no, I mean, like, after he got there, he was up for, like, a couple hours, and then I fed him, and then I put him in the pack and play, and then I have this little camera, like, the video monitor, and then, like, I didn't check on him because I have that now, so, like...
And he was in your back bedroom, or?
In our bedroom.
In your bedroom? In a pack and play?
And then,
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just, like, half asleep.
Marissa's laugh and smile here is odd given the circumstances. This is clearly a serious situation. When a suspect acts unconcerned, this can be a red flag for deception. They may be trying to play it cool so that they don't look guilty, when actually their behavior just makes them look more suspicious.
Okay. So the reason we're here, Brittany, I'm sure you must be asking yourself this, right?
Not Brittany.
I'm sorry. Marissa. You have a sister, Brittany, right?
Yeah.
The reason we're here is...
Although the audio here is redacted, we can infer that she informs Marissa that Benson is deceased.
Why is he dead?
We were hoping that you could shed some light on that.
I don't know what it is.
And I need you to tell me what happened.
I don't know what happened.
This is the most important conversation you will ever have in your life.
I'm telling you. I don't.
No, you're not telling me. You didn't tell me last time, and you're not telling me now, and I need you to tell me the truth. Heather deserves to know what happened.
I know.
As Detective Holtz states, this isn't the first time that Marissa is being questioned about potential child abuse. In fact, it's actually the third time. 2 months prior to Benson's death, Detective Holtz was called to the home Marissa shared with her boyfriend Adam after a child sustained severe head and face injuries while in Marissa's care. While Marissa and Adam claim the child just had an accident, Detective Holtz is determined to figure out the whole story.
Mommy, nothing to hide.
And Adam, when you say that the child fell off the couch, did you witness that, or?
No, but, I mean, Marissa's one of these people that, she resorted to drugs because her kid got taken away, to the point where she was a rack of bones, and the only way we got her to go to the clinic and get clean, and she's been clean for 4 years now, is that we told her we were going to sign her into rehab. And she doesn't want to get forcibly put it.
Sure.
So,
That's fair enough.
but she has no reason to lie to me. And I mean, whenever she babysits kids and we have other people that she watches for, this coffee table gets put in the living room and then the kids get put toys on.
Okay.
And the toys all come out on the floor. As you see, they're here.
Okay. I see this is like a matching set. Are they the same?
No, they're not a set.
Okay.
They just happen to be the same color.
Okay,
I mean,
got it.
this one I got for free up in Merrill, and that one we've had for a long time.
Do you know which couch in
It
particular?
would have been this one. On that side of the couch, sleeping. It was over here sleeping, and she just went to the bathroom. And she was literally just pulling her pants up, and she heard her crying. But, I mean, bitches like they are, and can't come talk to me about something, or come talk to us before they go and get you guys involved. I mean, she obviously fell and hit a toy or something, and Marissa's not going to go and beat a kid. I mean, she was molested as a child and stuff, so she's very protective of kids. I mean, this is all ridiculous.
So,
I'm getting a little upset about it.
No, I know, and just calm down. Everything's
I can't calm
fine.
down because, like I said, I got fucked over by social services too many times. I try to work with them, and I'll look. He's our 5th child. I got pictures of my kids here, and that's all I can do. That's all I get to see of them is pictures. So, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Although Adam isn't getting into specifics here, he's referencing the fact that 4 of his and Marissa's children were all taken by social services. Had social services known about their 5th and youngest child, he also would have likely been taken. Detective Holtz and the women from Child Services wait around in the apartment for a while until, finally, Marissa arrives home.
Oh, hi. Hi. Marissa?
Yep.
Put it on the door. Walk in the house, so they're in the bathrooms.
Huh?
Hello.
Hello. So I'm Jennifer. I'm a detective with the West Police Department, and I've been assigned to investigate, follow up on who I understand you were providing care for. And these fine young ladies are from social services. So because there's a child involved and you were providing care for that child at the time social services gets involved. So I just need to hear from you.
I was babysitting. She went to bed, so I decided to clean. And then I was like doing dishes, heard her screaming, and then stopped doing dishes, and then got off the couch, and there's a bunch of toys. Because usually I have her sister, so she like follows her. So I had a bunch of toys out in the living room.
Okay. So you were doing dishes and you heard screaming.
Mm-hmm.
Was she sleeping or?
Yeah, she was
just laying
sleeping.
there.
Yep. And she must have rolled off, and then I stopped doing the dishes, and she was on the floor, and all she had was rug burn, and then she had bruises, so she must have hit a toy.
What toy was on the floor?
I had I had a bunch of, this table was out, and I had a bunch of toys, in the middle on the rug.
Okay.
Do you know which toys were? A bunch, I took a bunch out of the bunch toys. Yep, and she was sleeping on this couch, and she must have rolled. But I take the table out when I babysit and put it in the kitchen.
It's an immediate red flag for deception that Marissa fails to incorporate any of her own emotions during her account of what happened. Most people who are telling the truth will include their feelings during the event. However, it's typically difficult for a guilty person to fake emotion, so guilty individuals will often opt to keep their emotions very neutral, even if it's completely inappropriate to stay neutral given the circumstances.
Has anything like this come up with you before?
No.
As far as
No.
a child being injured?
No.
Are you sure about that? Were you talked to about a year ago for a child that was injured that sustained a skull fracture?
Oh yeah, that was not me.
You were providing care for her?
Well, yeah, I was, but I don't have any child abuse, no nothing.
Okay.
Where I have kids, so I love kids. I don't beat them, nothing.
Okay.
I always babysit people's kids,
Right. And nobody's saying you beat anybody, but
No,
people
okay.
lose their temper sometimes.
No, I've never.
Things like that happen.
I never had postpartum, nothing.
Noticeably, Marissa also doesn't flat out deny these prior allegations.
I love kids. I don't beat them, nothing.
In theory, it should be a flat out denial, but she just can't seem to get the words right, something that will surely stand out to detectives. Talking about how much she loves kids is still not a straight denial of her abuse allegations. It can be difficult for a guilty individual to make a false denial, as their body will automatically start showing physiological signs of anxiety. With an ongoing child abuse investigation against Marissa, social services informs the couple that their baby son won't be able to stay with them. Adam doesn't take the news very well.
We place with relatives. If you don't have a relative, then we have to look at foster care. So I need you to give me some relatives. We place with friends at this point. So do you have a brother or sister or an aunt, uncle, mom,
Adam
dad?
does.
Does Adam? Okay.
Adam. So
No, they're fucking not.
investigation, there has to go to your dad.
No.
So
They're
can
not
we do
taking my fucking kid.
So hey, can we just
Fuck go! Go!
Adam, stop. Adam, stop. They said with family.
No!
Until investigation is over.
I wasn't
your
here!
dad? Your dad.
My dad cannot watch it. You guys can go.
Or I can leave and he can watch them.
You guys need to leave. Go.
Can I just live with her until the investigation?
You need to leave.
We can't leave.
We can't leave
Just
now.
wait.
Yes.
Yeah, he wasn't here. He can take them.
No, you can't leave
Watch.
with the child.
Adam,
You cannot
stop.
leave with the child.
Adam, stop.
You're stopping and you're scaring the baby.
You're fucking scaring my baby. Get the fuck out of my house.
I will go. Can that work?
I'm sorry.
We need to sit down and have a civilized
No,
conversation.
you need to
about
leave.
this.
Adam, just stop. Adam.
I told you guys, if you think you're taking my kid, you guys can go.
I will leave and
No.
you can have him.
They need to leave.
No, because they'll take him.
I asked you nicely.
Right now is not.
I asked you nicely.
Sit down and let's talk.
I'm not talking. I told you guys when he came to my house. Did I not? If you guys think you're taking my kid or asking my kid to go
That's why
anywhere,
we're trying to figure out a family member that.
I do not have any family members. We have no family. I was not here. Why does my kid have to leave when I'm his parent? She was the only one here.
She can leave.
Well, that's what's going to happen. She's going to go stay with Shayna. Okay, right there. The baby's staying here. So there's the situation. You guys can go.
Well, we're not leaving until this is sorted out.
I just told you what's going to happen. No, it's not fine. I told them when they came in the house. I let them in nicely, and I told them from day one.
So I'll live with Shayna until it's over then.
You guys are lying, all you. That's why I don't trust any one of you suckers.
I don't think anybody's lied to you at this point.
Yeah, well, you kind of did, because I told you specifically. Did I not? Right, when you guys walked in the door. I said, if you think you're going to do anything with my kid, you better bring the SWAT team. That's exactly what I said. And I'm sticking to it. So you guys need to leave.
And that you have to take him. I can't be here.
Let's talk about this, Adam.
I just called. Go.
No, that's not how it works. We need to sit down and figure out
This is my fucking house. I pay the bills here. Do you guys come pay my rent? No. So you can leave. Now that I asked you 15 times.
Adam, stop. So they're letting him stay with you. I'm leaving. Adam, just calm.
But he needs to calm down,
Right.
Because we're not.
I will calm as soon as your head's going through the back of my door.
If you can sit and relax.
I'm relaxed as soon as you go out my door. You can talk through the door, but I don't want you in my house no more.
Stop. Can't he just take him and I leave?
I can't leave a child here with him in the
I know.
condition.
Because I'm pissed off because you guys are fucking
Adam, just stop.
two-faced motherfuckers.
Adam, just stop. Right now.
I'm calm as soon as they leave.
Stop. My God.
I can't help it, Marissa, and you know it.
Well, you want him here? My God, they're freaking out.
Marissa and Adam are having very different reactions to their son being removed from their home. Although Adam's feelings are valid and many people in this situation would feel angry, his outburst is clearly upsetting the baby, and he doesn't seem to recognize that. Marissa, on the other hand, is notably calm about their entire situation. This is rather unusual, as most parents would be quite upset about having their child taken, especially if they didn't do anything wrong. This may be an act on her part. She may think that she needs to appear relaxed, because if she is explosive like Adam, it will just look like she acted that way with the child she babysat.
And there's nothing anymore. You guys can go bring a dog in here, do whatever the fuck you want to do. But my kid's staying here.
With these memories fresh in her mind, Detective Holtz is unrelenting in her interview with Marissa.
Heather deserves to know what happened.
I know. What? No, you're the truth.
No, you're not.
I am. I don't know what happened. I promise.
I understand that things get
Oh
frustrating,
my God.
especially with you being pregnant and having a
Yeah,
child of your
no,
own.
They were frustrating. I promise you that.
Marissa is likely trying to bolster her statements by stating, "I promise you that." When someone is being deceptive, they will try really hard to sell you on their story, whereas someone who's being honest doesn't need to go to such lengths. Marissa may not have been comfortable enough with her answer about how the kids weren't frustrating, likely because it was a lie and she did find them to be frustrating. So she needed to prop her claim up with a promise to make it sound more convincing. This theory is backed up by Adam's statements to Officer Cole back in the hotel room.
So you get home, what time? 7? 6:37, somewhere in that area? And what's going on in the apartment when you get home?
The kids are all sleeping.
The topic then shifts to Jathan, who Marissa also babysat.
He doesn't play with much. He's a pretty quiet kid. I shouldn't say quiet. If you look at him wrong, he starts crying. I mean, lately he's been getting used to us.
Then take me through the rest of the next few hours until you guys decide to come over here.
We went to McDonald's, came home, and
Who went to McDonald's? All of you?
all of us, yeah. The 3 kids in the back seat, and
Which McDonald's?
the one by the courthouse.
Okay.
Then came home.
Who picked him up out of the back and play and put him into the car? Or?
I packed him up and put him in there.
Okay.
Absolutely normal to me.
And what is normal?
Whiny. As soon as you pick him up, he whines and stuff.
So he was making noise and
Yeah, making noise and
open his eyes at all?
yeah, I mean, crying and everything else.
Adam describing Heather's kids in such negative terms is concerning. Referring to a 2-month-old baby as whiny is especially unusual, because it's normal for a baby that young to cry frequently. It's also possible that being overly critical of the children is a misguided attempt to protect Marissa. Back in the hallway, Marissa attempts to explain why she and Adam fled to the hotel.
I got a little money from a car accident, and I wanted to go swimming and stuff, but by the time she picked the kids up, and I wanted to go in a hot tub, but I don't think I can when I was pregnant. So.
What's the real reason you're here?
No, that is the real reason. I'm serious.
Nobody who lives in this town checks into a hotel at 9:50 p.m. after a baby died in their apartment.
I don't know. I didn't know he died.
And that's also a lie because she texted you and told you that he died.
My phone's off.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
I'll show you my phone. I'm serious.
How do you think we found you?
It's obvious that Marissa's story isn't adding up, but the question is, what exactly could she be hiding? Marissa is likely keenly aware that with her previous child abuse investigation, she looks incredibly suspicious right now. Even if Benson's death was just a heartbreaking accident, her history with kids makes it hard to trust her. Could she and Adam have fled to the hotel because of this?
I'm serious. Now cut the crap, Marissa. This is the 3rd time we've had a discussion with you about a child, an infant in your care, and now one is dead. One is dead.
I didn't do nothing to him.
Then who did?
No one. He was fine.
Did Adam do something to him?
No one did anything to him. He was fine.
Babies don't just die.
Marissa keeps sniffing and scrunching up her face as if she's crying. However, it doesn't appear that there are any tears falling. She's likely trying to give off the appearance that she's upset, but she's not a good actress, and it comes off very disingenuous.
He was fine.
Babies don't just die.
I would not kill a baby.
I'm sure you didn't mean to, Marissa.
Sometimes it's not what you do, Marissa. It's sometimes what you don't do. And maybe there was something you just didn't do tonight. Yeah, left him alone for too long. Yeah.
No, because I didn't kill him.
Was it an accident?
I do.
Did you leave him alone?
I left him in the pack and play after we got off. After we got back in from outside.
Was he okay?
He didn't make any noise. I have that video monitor thing. I didn't kill him. I promise you. I didn't. I would never kill a baby.
So what happened when you came back from outside? Check on.
He just uses the video baby monitor.
And you went back inside and checked on him.
Huh?
When you went back inside, and he was in the pack of play.
Mm-hmm.
What you saw and observed.
I use the baby monitor, and when he makes a noise, you can hear it. And I didn't hear anything, so. But I didn't kill him.
At what point did you realize that he was dead?
I don't know.
Did he die in the pack?
Marissa shrugging in response to Captain Graham's questions are huge red flags that she was involved. Someone who is innocent would readily be able to provide clear answers for the questions.
I didn't kill him.
Like I said, there is things that you commit, things that you do, and sometimes as a result of things that we don't do, bad things happen. And we know that bad things happen.
I didn't kill him.
When did you know Marissa?
I didn't kill him.
I know. We know. Accidents happen.
I just didn't. I thought that baby monitor thing would be fine. So I didn't check on him.
How long? It's okay.
Oh,
We can talk through this.
I'll get you some tissue.
God. Oh my God.
Sometimes things happen, but we need to know the truth, and it's all okay.
I just did check on him. I have a baby monitor, but I didn't kill him.
The detectives know that most suspects are more comfortable admitting to an accident rather than intentional harm, and Marissa is no exception. She's latched onto the scenario, likely because she thinks she won't get in as much trouble. While there's every chance that this may be the real truth, there are still some parts of Marissa's story that aren't making sense, and as Holtz and Graham are about to discover, Marissa knows a lot more than she's letting on.
So how long was it that you didn't check on him? So start over.
It was after when before Adam got there, he checked on him.
And did you know then?
But I didn't kill him.
I know.
Oh my God.
How did you know?
Huh?
How did you know?
Just because it was been that, well, he does sleep that long, and but I don't know, he felt cold. And I was scared.
Sure.
My boyfriend wasn't there and everything, so, oh my God.
I'm sure it's scary. How did you find him? How was he laying?
I put him on his belly.
Okay. And how did you find him?
He was
just on his belly. Where was his face?
In the on this.
Face down.
Mm-hmm.
Did you? I'm just trying to. So, if this is his face and this is his back, and you put him like this, and you didn't find his head turned anyway, it was just straight down?
I think it was.
Was there anything coming out of his mouth? Or
No.
Okay.
No.
And he felt cold then?
Mm-hmm.
And that was before Adam got home?
Mm-hmm.
Who picked him up out of the pack and play and put him into the car? Or?
I picked him up and put him in there.
Okay.
It's absolutely normal to me.
The fact that Marissa can't seem to clearly remember how Benson's head was positioned when she found him is a red flag, as this is something that she should be able to remember. If she walked in and the baby's face was straight down into the bed, This is something that would trigger alarm bells and would likely stand out in her memory.
But that baby monitor was like almost $100, and like when they make any noise, they're like, you can hear it. And that has like the camera thing. So
you're saying that didn't work?
no, it worked.
It worked.
Yeah.
You just left him alone for too long. Okay. You went to McDonald's?
No, I brought him back.
Where did you put clothes on him? Did you put a snowsuit
I
on?
put a snowsuit and hat on.
And Adam didn't notice that he was dead?
He probably just thought he was sleeping.
Did you check for a pulse? Did you see if he was breathing? Or did you just feel his skin was cold?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just wasn't making any noise.
What did you think was going to happen when Heather came to pick him up?
I don't know, like...
Did you think she wasn't going to notice, or?
Oh, yeah.
That she was or wasn't going to notice.
She was gonna notice.
Did you try to do anything to revive? Try to do CPR?
No, 'cause I don't even know how to do that.
And help me understand, discovered there. Yeah, why didn't you call police?
'Cause I was scared and my boyfriend wasn't there. And I didn't want our baby taken.
By this point, Marissa has mentioned several times how she was scared, but she doesn't express any concern for Benson or how his mother is feeling now. Marissa appears to be very egocentric and is only thinking about the baby's death in terms of how it affects her.
We do have an arrest warrant for you based on your other child abuse. So we're going to be taking you into custody.
Can I smoke a cigarette?
Sure.
Thank you.
We're
When am I gonna get out?
Although it seems like detectives are getting the truth out of Marissa, there is one major problem. Her story isn't matching up with Adam's. According to Marissa, Benson was dead before Adam ever got home, and Adam was none the wiser. However, Adam is claiming that not only did he pick Benson up and get him loaded into the car, but supposedly Benson was crying and whining during this. One of them is lying, and it's up to the police to figure out which one of them it is.
Okay, Adam, here's what I need the explanation for. We know why you guys came over here.
On my life.
We know Marissa's received messages on her phone letting her know.
The audio is redacted here, but the officer informs Adam that Benson is deceased.
Come on now.
I swear to God I did not know this.
Yes.
No, I swear I didn't.
So,
I swear I didn't know. Marissa's phone is in here somewhere. I didn't know, I swear. Heather has my phone number. She never, not once.
So that's your phone?
This is my phone, yes.
Where's Marissa's phone?
I don't know. I can call it and find it.
That's all right.
and then you guys come over here. You leave shortly after Heather leaves.
And another reason we came here is Marissa's sister is supposed to be getting her kids tonight for the night. So we figured we'd come get it and she can just take the room tomorrow. Or today.
So there's going to be an autopsy tomorrow that's going to tell us a lot more than what we know right now about the cause of death. And if things don't add up,
Yeah.
because right now I'm seeing a lot of red flags about why you guys came over here.
No,
Why nobody.
There appears to be two options here. He's either telling the truth about part of what happened, meaning he did get Benson out of the pack and play, but he knew the child was dead. Or he's lying about being the one to get Benson out of the pack and play because he thinks this will protect Marissa from getting in trouble.
Accidents happen, but there needs to be some sort of explanation that has to come from one of you two.
Yeah,
Or both of you.
I don't know. I mean,
we see babies that it's kind of a bedding issue, that they suffocate accidentally. I've seen children that were given too much medication because they were too fussy, too whiny, and so the caregiver was trying to get them to sleep or,
Officer Kolb is offering up more acceptable reasons for why Benson may have died. He's being careful not to portray Marissa as being a cold-blooded killer because he knows that could make Adam shut down from the conversation. However, if he can sow a seed of doubt in Adam's mind about how it could have been an unfortunate accident, Adam may be more willing to provide information that could be helpful to the investigation.
Can I ask her a quick?
Yeah.
So why is he telling us they're leaving to go to McDonald's if Benson was alive?
Because he was probably scared. No, he didn't know. He don't know.
What would he have to be scared of then, Marissa?
That I'm going to get in trouble or go to jail. Yeah, he doesn't know.
Why would he be covering up for you if he doesn't know that you did anything wrong? Remember, we talked about being honest.
I know. I'm in jail, babe. I passed out abuse. Don't freak out where she said they're going to list it. So, I got a pee down. I just want to say, okay, I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. But
You know what's going on, right? What is going on? Oh my God.
The bedroom? What did you tell me?
She got on when Heather got there.
No. When you guys were going to McDonald's.
I got him out of there. I mean,
And he was making noise, you said several times. We asked and clarified that with you, right?
yeah.
Is that the truth?
Yeah, he was fussing and stuff when we left.
We just don't want this situation complicated by lies. Obviously, we're all just trying to figure out what happened.
I know.
And Marissa's made some admissions to some things, but there's just some little things that aren't matching up with what you're telling us and what she's telling us.
I just don't know. I mean, I don't remember. I get him out of the bedroom, or did you, or when we went to McDonald's? I don't know.
no, I did.
She did. I mean, I just don't remember.
Adam's claim of "I don't remember" is a selective memory statement, which can sometimes be legitimate or could be a sign of possible deception. It's possible that Adam used deductive reasoning to figure out that Marissa was under suspicion for something related to Benson. He likely didn't know what Marissa was being accused of, but it was clearly related to her care of other children, so he decided in the moment to lie in the hopes that he could protect her from further trouble. However, he might be less willing to protect her from trouble after he learns what she's been hiding from him.
Love you.
So, Adam, what she has admitted to out there while we were talking in here is that while you were out hunting,
She already knew?
likely suffocated, and
What the
that,
fuck did she tell me?
of course, she's probably freaking about that. And even when you came home and went to McDonald's, she's saying she knowingly put and into the car, leading you to believe he's alive and well, and he was dead all that time. And do you understand? We're not here to argue with you, fight with you, or nothing. We want what's best for the kids.
I understand.
And I think you do too.
I do.
And I even think Marissa does.
She does.
But
I mean,
she has a poor way of doing it, I guess. As far as
I mean, you can ask anybody that we live around. I mean, everybody gets in a mood where they don't want to be bothered or whatever. But normally when that happens, I mean, she'll tell me, and then I'll take care of her, and she can go take a shower or do what she's got to do. That's why every time this shit happens, I don't know. And that's why I told her I didn't want her watching any kids.
As Adam waits at the hotel to deal with CPS, Marissa agrees to go back to her apartment with Detective Holtz in order to demonstrate how she found Benson. If Detective Holtz can clearly see how Benson was positioned, she may be able to determine if his death was the result of an accident, SIDS, or something far more sinister.
We have these dolls just because it makes it a little more realistic as far as like facial shape and things like that. What I want you to do is just like walk through exactly how you put him down.
Crabby.
Okay.
Yeah, so then I just put him in here, and then I turn the camera on, and so I put him in here, and then put the blue blanket on.
So when we were at the hotel, you were talking about like his face was to the side a little bit.
Yep.
Can you show me exactly how his head was? I know his body probably isn't
It's not gonna.
right. This isn't completely anatomically correct, but if you could just show like how his face was. I realized that his body was flat, and it wouldn't turn up like that. But was it to that side specifically? So to his
I think
right.
so, yeah.
Although Marissa's been laughing and smiling throughout this demonstration, she's likely still feeling some anxiety. If we look at her hands, we can see that they're almost closed into fists, which indicates that she's feeling tense. Most caregivers would be traumatized by having a baby die in their care. Having to reenact their last actions with the infant would likely be difficult and emotional. In stark contrast to this, Marissa appears to be completely unaffected. However, this image of her clenched hands may provide a glimpse into her inner stress.
Did he have a nook?
No.
Okay.
Just the receiving blanket and then his blanket.
So the receiving blanket was already folded up and laid down before you came in here. When would you have done that?
I think I did it. I laid him on the couch.
And when you found him, exact same position, or was he different?
I think he was in the same position.
Okay. I need you to really try hard to remember because this is important.
I know.
Could he have been in a different position? But was he still in the middle? Had he creeped
No,
over?
he was in the middle. I think he was in the same position.
Based on her frequent responses of "I think so,"
I think.
it seems like Marissa is making things up as she goes.
Okay, so walk me through how you determine that he's not alive.
Because I picked him up and he was really cold.
How did you pick him up?
I just went like this.
Okay, and what did he look like?
He was just cold.
Marissa is completely unemotional. Once again, she fails to mention any of her thoughts and feelings when she discovered Benson was dead, which could be a sign that Marissa is being deceitful and hiding something from the detective. The question is, what exactly is she hiding?
And then what did you do?
Laid him down, put his snowsuit on.
Where did you lay him down?
Oh, I think I laid him on the floor. So I put his car seat in there, and I grabbed his snowsuit, laid it on the floor, put him in the snowsuit, and then put him in his car seat with his blankets.
Okay. And then where did you put the car seat?
I think I left it in there.
With the door open or shut?
With the door open. I left him in there, put the door open, and then Adam got here, and then we left.
Leave him in the car seat, in his snowsuit, there. And you laid him on the floor, but you don't know CPR, no attempts to call anyone or research anything online to
CPR, really.
Did you see if there's anything maybe stuck in his mouth or? No, okay. And you said no knock.
No knock.
Okay.
As Detective Holtz is listing off logical responses to finding Benson dead, Marissa simply nods with indifference, perhaps implying that there was another reason that she didn't try to investigate Benson's unresponsiveness.
Do you always leave the baby monitor on, or how do you guys?
Just when I have him back there, we just got it on Tuesday, so.
Okay, so how did you? So you had it back there. You had the baby monitor on, or no? Okay, and then what did you?
Was it facing there? Where were you sitting?
Yeah, I was facing right there, and I was right here.
Okay, so then when did you turn it off?
After they left and we left.
Okay, how did you turn it off?
What do you mean, like I just turned it off? Turn it on and turn it off.
So it surprised you to know that your baby monitor is unplugged?
Is it?
Yeah.
I might have unplugged it too, because you have to charge these. But I did have it on and everything.
Why would you unplug the camera?
What?
The camera.
Because I stopped using it. When I stopped using it, I just unplug it. I did have it on and everything.
Are you sure?
When you're done
I'm
using
sure.
it, you just turn it off.
I promised on everything. I had it on.
Marissa making promises are likely attempts to bolster her lies. Having gathered all of the relevant information at the apartment, Marissa is officially arrested and spends the rest of the night in jail. Although it seemed Marissa was telling detectives everything she knew about Benson's death, his autopsy came back with shocking results, prompting Captain Graham and Detective Holtz to bring Marissa in for one more interview.
There you go. Hi.
Hey.
Well, as we discussed the other night, I attended the autopsy, so I just wanted to follow up with you and give you some information regarding that. So, but I have to review rights again, and it seems a bit redundant, but...
This room setup is not ideal for an interrogation, as there's a huge table between Marissa and the detectives. It would be better if there was no table at all, so that the detectives could observe Marissa's entire nonverbal communication, instead of having half of her body being hidden from view.
I can say, without a doubt, that what you're telling me is not true. He's got very severe injuries to his head.
Yeah, I don't know how.
I'd like to give you an opportunity
Yeah,
to explain yourself.
I promise you I did not do nothing to him. Promise.
That's why I asked you
I
if you
know.
fell.
No, he did not fall.
Did he roll and tumble just a little bit first?
Not that I've seen. No, I did not do anything to him.
Marissa uses a qualification phrase when she says, "not that I seen," which gives her an escape in the future, allowing her to blame her faulty memory or say that she didn't see what had actually happened.
Based upon what the doctors saw, based on what Jen saw, is that the child did not die as a result of not being able to breathe. And I'm hoping that, based upon your relationship with Heather, and based upon the genuine love that I know that you have for children, it's important that Heather knows what
Yeah,
happened.
I didn't do anything to him.
Because something happened in that apartment, and you were the only adult there.
I know.
Based upon what you're telling me, it couldn't have been Adam. It couldn't have been.
Yeah.
Or could it?
No.
But Adam came back at some point, and you've seen, and we've seen Adam get upset, really at the snap of a finger. And are you sure that he didn't do something to him?
I'm sure.
Thing is, Marissa, is that science doesn't lie.
I know.
There's absolutely no doubt. You like to think that you're not some cold-blooded person.
I'm not.
And I want to believe that you do genuinely love children. I see it with you in person. I see it with the baby that you're carrying. And I'm sure you had a bond with Benson because he's been watching you for quite a while.
I did not kill him. I could never kill anyone in my life.
Let's not even use that word.
As Marissa gets emotional for the first time in the interrogation, she uses the word kill. It seems that what may have triggered her tearfulness is when the detective started talking about how Marissa loves kids and may have had a bond with Benson. Earlier in the interrogation, Marissa seemed to be avoiding the word kill, instead saying that she didn't do anything. Sometimes these non-specific statements are used by deceptive individuals because it allows them to dance around having to be more specific. An innocent person is more likely to be straightforward and use necessary language because they want to ensure it's clear what they're denying. A deceptive person may prefer to avoid using such explicit language because it means they will have to look the detectives in the eye and lie.
Whether something happened, and it may have been an accident, it may have been a fall, but something happened and it was not that you went to sleep, Marissa. It was not. So let's get over that.
Maybe I did not do anything to him.
Then what happened?
I don't know.
Something terrible happened. And you were taking care of him. And it's important for Heather. It's important for you. And it's going to look better for you, quite frankly, if you explain it. And this is your one opportunity.
I am. If I could never do anything like that to any kid.
That's why I don't want to think that it was intentional. I think it was an accident.
Marissa, you have maybe more than I can imagine. A lot going on. You have this other case that was out there, which is a felony offense and is pretty serious. And you have other children that have been taken away. And, you're on the road to recovering from some drug addiction. And sometimes the weights of life can become too much to bear, and you see yourself acting without even thinking, just reacting in ways that are outside of your character. And I wonder if something like that happened on Thursday, where, extra fussy because he's got some sores and just not receiving the feeding well and something like that.
No, I could never. I love kids way too much. I could never, no.
I hear you say that, and I want to believe you, like I said, but there has to be an explanation, and it's not what you told us.
Suspects may be more willing to confess if they feel like the detective truly understands them and their situation. Graham and Holtz are both doing a really good job of relating to Marissa and being empathetic. In the Reed technique, it's important for investigators to appear non-judgmental, as that creates a dynamic in which the suspect may be more likely to open up.
Did an accident, Marissa?
I don't know what happened. Like I said,
Did you fall? I asked you.
not when I was around. You didn't fall.
Well, you were the only one there, right?
I know. Yes.
Hurt badly. I want to believe that it was an accident and you're not a monster.
I'm not a monster.
Please explain. Well, then it must have been an accident.
Like I said, I just fed them, burped them, changed them, put them in the thing.
And when did he hit his head?
He didn't hit his head.
He hit his head.
I don't know how he would have hit his head.
Who could have hit him in the head?
I don't know.
Could he have fallen? I'm asking you.
No, I was around.
I mean, he didn't just fall without anybody around and nobody noticing and then put himself back in the packing place. You have this one opportunity to explain yourself.
By increasing her proximity to Marissa, Detective Holtz is increasing the pressure for her to confess.
I don't know, maybe on the couch or the prison.
Is there like a hard part of the couch? Like an arm?
The arm. Or like the arm part. I don't know.
So as you were sitting him down, was it too hard?
Maybe.
You knocked his head a little bit?
I don't know, because I could never.
Show me how you're putting the things up. I'm sorry.
I don't know, I just put him on the couch.
Well, a child doesn't get ahead of musicians.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need you to, if you're going to tell me your truth, I need it to be 100% accurate.
Right.
I'm going to let you talk. Tell me what happened.
Oh, maybe the couch arm or maybe the playpen, I don't know.
What would you put me on?
Just like that. I didn't throw my own, no, I can never do that.
It's an interesting statement. Do you throw?
No, I could never.
It was not gently placing it on the couch.
Neither Holtz nor Graham have suggested that Benson could have been thrown, so it's highly suspicious that Marissa suddenly introduces this new idea. When new language is introduced by the suspect, such as what Marissa has just done here, detectives will likely see it as a big red flag that the suspect has been hiding something. Marissa is still refusing to tell Detective Holtz the truth, so Holtz decides to play into Marissa's emotions and ask her how she would feel if it was her own child who died.
Think of how terrible that would be.
I know.
And not knowing what his last second was like. Please help me bring that to Heather. You're not. Please. As a mother, she deserves to know what happened to you. And this is your last chance to tell me the truth. Otherwise, I am left to walk out here and tell Heather. But apparently Marissa is a monster.
No.
She can't even explain what she did. Even if it was an accident, please. You have to help me tell Heather.
After this desperate emotional appeal from Detective Holtz, Marissa sits in complete silence for nearly 2 minutes before finally opening up a bit. During this long pause, Marissa is likely trying to decide what she's going to say. Should she stick with her story about how she doesn't know? Should she confess the truth? Or should she admit to something in between? She may be weighing the pros and cons of each option in her head. Most people care what others think of them, at least to some extent. So hearing the detective say that she will be thought of as a monster may help motivate Marissa to tell the truth.
I don't know. Maybe I put him down too hard. But I didn't kill him or anything.
You didn't mean to. I don't think you meant to.
No, could never.
Where did you put him down too hard and how? Show me.
I don't know, like maybe like that.
Where?
Maybe on the playpen.
Which playpen?
Your guys is the one you guys have. That's the only thing I could think of.
How many times? Once? Twice? 2 times?
Once, probably. It's the only thing I could think of. I could never.
That's not true.
I could never. So I don't know, I promise.
You keep saying I could never, but you know what? You did. You did.
I did not.
That child had multiple injuries to his head. Not one time, and it's not from a playpen.
I don't know where he could have got it from. I did not do it. On everything. I'm telling you the truth.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. I'm telling you the truth.
Absolutely not. Unless it was harder than that. Could it have been harder than that? And could it have happened more than one time?
Yeah, no.
Because it's more than one time.
Just once.
But was it harder than that?
I don't know. I didn't think so.
And when you did that, did he stop breathing?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
That's pretty significant, Liz. I don't remember if the child died right in front of me.
When a suspect claims to have a memory failure, such as claiming not to remember such a major detail, this can be a sign of deception. Marissa saying that she can't recall if Benson died right after she put him down roughly is a major red flag, as most people would remember such a significant event.
How were you holding on to him?
What do you mean?
Were you holding on to his midsection and putting him down? How did you?
I just put him in there, in the midsection.
On his back or on his butt?
I held him in and put him in there.
Did you let him go? Like, was it like this, and then you just let him go and so he kind of fell as well, or did you have hold of him and he went like this, or was it?
Yeah, I think so.
It was like this.
Yeah.
And then he.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then you take him. This is the packet plane, and you just throw him in the packet plane.
Mm-hmm.
Was it like a foot or two drop?
I don't know, my foot or whatever.
Well, if this is the back and plate, it's the top of the back and plate, and you're standing right here, was it from up here?
Yeah, like yeah.
The pack and play that you showed us is one of those that has like an insert where it's up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure it was that pack and play or was it the one in the spare room?
No, it's that one. Because it has the mat on the thing.
So you were above the pack and play and dropped them. With force? Could it have been a throw?
I don't think so.
I mean, you're frustrated.
Right.
I get it. Throw. You tell me, okay?
Yeah.
I need you to prove that you're being honest with me. What I want you to do is tell me exactly what you did, and if it matches up with the injuries that I saw, then I know that we've got a caring person here who is
sorry for what she did.
I am. I'm frustrated. I'm sorry.
And in that frustration, go in. Is it your bedroom?
Mm-hmm.
And the pack and play is right there next to the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And were you standing right next to the pack and play? Were you standing by the door and just threw him in there?
Standing next to the pack and play.
Like, were your eyes touching the pack and play like this, or was the pack and play like that far away? And you just...
Oh, no, not like that.
So,
Yeah.
can you show me?
That's like this. But just throw him in.
Just throw him in.
Mm-hmm.
Was it with all your force, all your strength? You just threw him in there?
I don't know. I think so.
You think so? So you, with all your force, just like that, as hard as you could.
Not really as hard, but
Hard enough.
Marissa is still vague in her description, but Graham getting up is important here because it makes Marissa have to demonstrate what she did. Graham clearly dramatized the throw from a very far distance, which forced Marissa to have to clarify that she didn't throw Benson from such a far-off distance. But she did, in fact, throw him.
Did he cry? Is that what you're saying? Or did he stop crying?
he just cried for a couple minutes.
And then what else happened?
And that was it.
You saw multiple injuries, Miss.
Yeah, I promise you, I do not know where he got the injuries. Promise.
Did you grab him by a hand, by a foot?
Who?
That's why I asked you, Marissa, how were you holding him when you threw him into the pack and play? Because he has some other injuries.
Right.
I said he has some broken bones.
He does.
I don't think you meant to do it that hard.
Did he tumble a little bit when you threw him in the pack and play? Like, did he roll?
I don't know.
Because I could see if you're walking down the hallway, you come in the room, you're a little upset and frustrated, you throw him like that. I could see that he might tumble a little bit in the pack and play and maybe get lodged up against something. I wasn't there, Marissa, so help me understand in my mind what happened when you threw him there. What happened?
I was just frustrated and threw him in the pack and play.
And what did you see happen when he landed in the pack and play? And what happened to his body?
Mm-hmm.
Did he just stay in one position, or did he roll, or?
I think he hit the side, but that's about it.
What part of him hit the side?
The head.
And was it the corner where it's hard, or was it?
Yeah, it was the corner.
Which corner?
I don't know. One of the corners.
So was he kind of then just curled up in the corner?
I don't think so. I think maybe his head was down.
So you throw him in. He tumbles into the corner of the packet play.
Mm-hmm.
Is he face down at that point, or is he face up, or is he to the side?
His face down.
Okay. So you throw him down on his back. He tumbles a little bit into the corner of the pack and play, and his face is down.
Mm-hmm.
Then do you pick him up again and throw him down, or what do you do?
No.
What did you do?
I just picked him up and put him in the middle.
Even while she confesses to throwing him into the pack and play and then rearranging his body, Marissa doesn't appear to have any remorse for what she did to Benson.
You throw him in there. He tumbles into the corner.
Mm-hmm.
You had said that he cried for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Now you're saying, no? Well, did you stand there for a couple minutes?
Just him, or?
And just...
Well, maybe not a couple minutes. Maybe a minute or less.
Did you stay in the room with him, or go out before you put on back on his stomach?
I stayed in the room.
And just looked at him while he was crying?
Yeah.
Maybe you were in shock. Like, what did I just do?
Yeah.
This couple minutes thing is confusing me here.
Well, I was in shock of what had just happened to him, what I did to him. I was frustrated.
You were frustrated, and what shocked you was the fact that you threw him into the pack and play very hard. Maybe not with all of your strength, but you were really frustrated. And he tumbles into the corner, maybe hits his head on the corner, and then you stand there and he cries for a little bit.
No, I just cried for a couple seconds. And then in the middle.
And then you take him from the corner, he's no longer crying, and you just set him face down in the center.
Why'd you move him if he wasn't crying?
I was scared.
Was he dead at that point?
Yeah.
How do you know?
Because he wasn't doing anything. Yeah, it was.
Did you try to do something to bring him back to life?
Try blowing in his mouth, because that's all I know how to do.
Try
I don't know
blowing in his
CPR,
mouth?
yeah.
Okay. Because I could see you trying to undo what has just happened, right?
Yeah, I tried.
And that tells me a little bit about who you are, Marissa. That, yeah, I made a mistake here, but I don't want this child to die.
Right. If I would have known how to do CPR, I would have done it. But just blew in his mouth. I don't know how to do CPR.
Although Marissa now claims to have tried to revive Benson, she laughed and denied trying to revive him at all.
Try to do CPR.
No, I don't even know how to do that.
No attempts to call anyone or research anything online to
CPR, really.
you see if there's anything maybe stuck in his mouth or...
This discrepancy in her story indicates that she might be pretending to have tried to save Benson's life in order to not look like a monster, since at this point, she's confessed and likely knows that she's in for some major consequences.
Thank you.
I was frustrated. Scared.
I understand. And rings. And trying to make it right.
Yeah, I did. Oh, yeah.
Although Marissa is sobbing, this may be in response to the consequences of her actions, which she knows are coming, not for what she did.
I was scared to call 911 because Adam wasn't there and I had the other kids.
I understand.
Yeah, so I was scared.
The reason she didn't call 911 is likely selfish. She was afraid of being apprehended. She may have thought that the best option was to cover up the crime, even going so far as to keep the secret from her boyfriend.
I'm going to be honest with you. Okay? I don't. You're going to get a high pitch fine. You've got some family members.
I'm not making a high because I have court for this statement right in November 1st. No. I'm sorry, I was scared and frustrated.
But
She gets frustrated too with Yeah, she even said that.
Yep.
She knows how the kids are.
Every parent gets frustrated.
so that's what's going to happen. So then eventually, down the line, you're going to face charges for this incident.
For lunch.
I don't know. That came into it. We need to talk through this with the district attorney's office and determine what charges are appropriate and charged in the future. I mean, you have to know that there's consequences for what you do. I understand you're sorry, and that does mean a lot. But we need to make sure this never happens.
Hmm?
Do you have any other questions for us?
Once again, Marissa shows that she's putting herself first by asking for a lower bond. She also appears to be surprised to find out that she will be charged. It's almost as if she expected that if she just said sorry, they would let her go. Marissa is failing to see the seriousness of the crime and even attempts to deflect responsibility from herself to Heather. While sitting in jail awaiting trial, Marissa began to form relationships with a variety of pen pals, promising that she would love them, be physically intimate with them, and move in with them after prison in exchange for these pen pals giving her money. In a report written by Detective Holtz, it was noted that Marissa was especially good at manipulating people and was able to juggle all of these relationships while also manipulating Adam into believing that she wasn't cheating on him, so he would also give her money. Marissa also occupied her time in jail by begging the judge to give her a lighter bail. A letter to the judge written by Marissa reads, "This Marissa Tietsort and I want a bond reduction cause this is crazy that don't get half signature bond and lowered like really I'm not a monster or whatever. I love kids and I'm a mom to 5 kids plus I'm pregnant now with my 6th kid." That's right, not only does she not grasp the severity of her crime against Benson, but she tries to claim that she's a loving and successful mother to her children, even though most of those children were removed from her care. According to Detective Holtz, Marissa believed she would be getting a light sentence for Benson's murder, as she and her attorney were planning on claiming that she wasn't guilty due to brain damage caused by her extended substance abuse. Things didn't go the way Marissa had hoped, however, and she was instead sentenced to 37 years for Benson's death, and another 3 years for the injuries caused to the child who had supposedly fallen off her couch just 2 months prior to Benson's death.
Supported by an insurance investigator named Zach McCune, who began analyzing the digital evidence. McCune discovered that the phone calls displaying Kelly's number on Paul's phone had actually been routed through an internet-based spoofing application designed to disguise the caller's identity. The internet protocol address used to access the application belonged to an associate of Paul Hicks. Further investigation into Paul's financial records revealed a purchase of a high-quality wig matching Kelly's hairstyle, along with a custom latex mask, ordered from a website called That's My Face. The order utilized photographs of Kelly that Paul had saved on his computer. Paul had orchestrated the entire arson, hiring accomplices to wear the mask and wig to frame his ex-girlfriend and secure a $400,000 insurance payout. The criminal charges against Kelly were dropped, and Paul was subsequently convicted of insurance fraud and sentenced to probation. But the exposure of Paul's elaborate framing scheme caught the attention of cold case detectives in Huron County, Ohio. They had spent decades investigating the suspicious death of Paul's first wife, Regina Roe Hicks, in October of 2001. Regina, a young mother who had recently filed for divorce from Paul, went missing on her way to pick up their 4-year-old son, Montana. 4 days later, her white Chevrolet Camaro was discovered submerged in a local farm pond. Regina's body was recovered from the passenger side of the vehicle. The original investigation had stalled due to a lack of physical evidence, but detectives had always noted highly suspicious details. The driver's seat was pushed far back, indicating a much taller person had driven the vehicle into the pond. A muddy shoe print on the interior door frame suggested Regina had been unconscious when she was placed in the passenger seat. The autopsy confirmed she had suffered blows to the head and was alive but unconscious when the car was submerged, as pond water was present in her lungs. In 2024, the investigation gained new momentum when a local podcaster, Ashley Ford, began highlighting the case, prompting witnesses to reconsider their silence. Detectives from the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation re-interviewed Paul's longtime friend, Steve Gates. Fearing prosecution and offered an immunity agreement, Steve Gates finally confessed to his role in the cover-up. He admitted that on the night of Regina's disappearance, she had arrived at his property to collect her son. An argument ensued, during which Paul struck Regina, rendering her unconscious. Paul then convinced Steve that they were both implicated and forced him to assist in concealing the crime. Steve Gates watched as Paul drove Regina's Camaro to the pond and submerged it, with her inside, before returning to collect their sleeping son. Paul then used his phone to place a call to Regina's phone to establish a false timeline. In April of 2025, Paul Hicks was arrested and indicted for the murder and kidnapping of Regina Roe Hicks, following a trial that featured emotional testimony from Regina's family and friends. The jury deliberated for 3 hours before finding Paul guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to life in prison, bringing a final, long-awaited measure of justice to a family that had fought for 24 years to honor Regina's memory. Across different landscapes and through different years, these 4 investigations highlighted the persistence of law enforcement and the communities they serve. Through the innovative use of technology, the careful analysis of digital footprints, and the courage of witnesses who refuse to let the truth remain buried, the masks of deception were systematically dismantled, proving that the pursuit of justice remains an unyielding force against the darkness of betrayal. The Pass of the Oaks, known formally as El Paso de Robles, is a place where the Earth seems to have struck a perfect bargain with the sun, nestled halfway between the sprawling energy of San Francisco and the coastal hum of Los Angeles. This quiet California getaway is defined by its rolling hills, its ancient, moss-draped oak trees, and the orderly geometry of its vineyards. It is a landscape that invites peace, a fairy tale setting where the air smells of dust, dry grass, and ripening grapes. But down El Faro Road, in the middle of all this natural elegance, something dark and incongruous took place. In the spring of 2018, the peaceful rhythm of this community was shattered. The setting was a secluded vacation property known as Paradise Ranch. The owner of this ranch-style estate was 62-year-old Nancy Woodrum. To the people of Paso Robles, Nancy was much more than a property owner. She was a fixture of the community, a woman who ran a popular salon downtown called The Strand. For decades, clients had come to her not merely for her talent as a hairstylist, but for her remarkable spirit. She possessed that rare, genuine gift of openness, kindness, and generosity that made strangers feel like lifelong friends. Nancy shared a deep bond with her daughter, Amanda. They were bound together not only by their shared profession of hairdressing and their passion for horseback riding, but also by a quiet, steady faith. As a devout member of the Jehovah's Witnesses, Nancy lived her life with a clear set of moral guidelines and a deep hope for the future. Her love for horses was part of this spiritual connection. Riding was her meditation, a way to be close to the natural beauty she believed was created for a purposeful, peaceful existence. In 2006, Nancy and her late husband, Robert, had purchased the property on El Faro Road. It was a fixer-upper, a project they poured their hearts and hands into. Over the years, Robert, a contractor, transformed the rugged land. Together, they built a beautiful two-story Victorian home adorned with wraparound porches shaded by a massive, sweeping willow tree. Eventually, they decided to share this beauty, converting the property into a vacation rental. Nancy called it Paradise Ranch, a name that reflected both her earthly sanctuary and her spiritual aspirations. On Friday, the 4th of May, 2018, a large group of wedding guests checked into Paradise Ranch. They were in town for a weekend wedding at a local winery. The bride had discovered the ranch online and found it to be the ideal setting for her bridal party and close friends. The main house was spacious and welcoming, and the smaller guest house was quaint and charming. Soon after they arrived, Nancy walked over to the guest house, introducing herself with her characteristic warmth, welcoming the bride with a hug, and letting them know she would be staying nearby on the property in her own small studio apartment. The wedding festivities proceeded as planned, filled with the joy and laughter typical of such occasions. But by Saturday, the 5th of May, an unsettling silence fell over the property. Amanda received a phone call from one of her mother's close friends. Nancy had failed to show up for a scheduled Bible study, an absence that was entirely uncharacteristic of a woman who never missed her appointments. Concerned, Amanda asked a neighbor to go over and check on her mother. The neighbor arrived to find the door to Nancy's cottage wide open. Inside, the television was blaring, casting a flickering light across an empty room. But there was no sign of Nancy. When Amanda arrived at the property, a sense of dread began to take hold. Everything in the cottage was exactly as Nancy had left it, except for Nancy herself. On the floor, there was an ominous stain on the carpet. The sheets and bedding from her bed were completely gone. As Amanda looked closer at the walls, she noticed what appeared to be dark splatter. Panic set in. She grabbed her telephone and dialed 911. The emergency dispatcher received the call with the standard query asking for the address of the emergency. Amanda explained that her mother-in-law had not been seen or heard from all day. When asked if she saw anything else unusual inside the house, Amanda reported that there appeared to be blood on the pillow. She also noted that there were more than 20 guests staying in the main house, a wedding party that had been there all weekend. The quiet vacation rental was instantly transformed into an active crime scene. Yellow tape was strung between the oak trees, and the property was flooded with police vehicles, search dogs, and investigators. Overhead, the rhythmic chop of a police helicopter broke the silence of the valley. Among the responding officers was Clinton Cole, a reserve detective with the San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Office. In 2018, Cole was a senior deputy experienced in the patient, methodical work of crime scene analysis. He received the call from his sergeant on that warm Saturday afternoon, advising him of a highly suspicious missing persons case on El Faro Road. When Detective Cole arrived at the property, he was struck by the contrast between the grandeur of the white Victorian home and the grim reality of the investigation. He met with the first responding deputies, who confirmed that something was terribly wrong. As Cole approached Nancy's cottage, he noted that the door was wide open, with no obvious signs of forced entry. Stepping inside, the red flags were immediate and unmistakable. On the floor lay 2 large, dark blood stains. On a nearby bench sat Nancy's purse, her car keys, her cellular phone, and her iPad. Her 2 vehicles remained parked outside in the driveway. On the bed, a beige pillow bore a significant blood stain, and more blood spatter was visible on a nearby cabinet, the headboard, and the back wall. To Detective Cole, the scene spoke with absolute clarity. Nancy Woodrum had been assaulted inside her bedroom and taken from the property against her will. As investigators began their meticulous search of the cottage, the scope of the task ahead became apparent. They had a missing person, a blood-soaked crime scene, and a suspect pool of more than 20 wedding guests who had ready access to the property. It was a scenario that felt like a classic whodunit mystery, but with very real, terrifying stakes. While the search of the ranch was underway, a critical discovery was made miles away. An officer with the California Highway Patrol contacted the sheriff's office, reporting that they had located discarded bedding and clothing on Ponza Road, approximately 6 or 7 miles from Nancy's home. Detective Cole and his team went to retrieve the items, which were secured in the crime lab annex for examination. The bundle consisted of a pillow, a gingham print dress, a pair of shorts, a shirt, and sheets that bore extensive stains resembling blood. The gingham pattern matched the remaining bedding left in Nancy's cottage. When Amanda was shown the items, she immediately confirmed they belonged to her mother. It was a devastating confirmation. It suggested that Nancy had been wrapped in her own bedding and transported from her home, either severely injured or deceased. Back at Paradise Ranch, the presence of the wedding guests presented a complex challenge. The guests, returning from the wedding festivities, found their vacation rental surrounded by police tape and armed officers. They were informed they could not enter the residence. The scene became chaotic as families with young children pleaded for access to retrieve basic necessities like diapers and baby food. The bride was in complete shock, unable to comprehend how a weekend that was supposed to be the happiest of her life had intersected with such a tragedy. She recalled meeting Nancy just the day before, remembering her kindness and warmth. The physical proximity of the guests to the crime scene was baffling to investigators. Only a single wall separated the guest house from Nancy's studio apartment. Yet, of the more than 24 people staying on the property, not a single person reported hearing a struggle, a scream, or a vehicle driving up. In the middle of the night, The bride explained that she had gone to bed around 11:15 in the evening and, as was her usual habit, had inserted earplugs. Before falling asleep, the rest of the wedding party had returned from their rehearsal dinner at a local winery around 10:30 and were asleep by midnight. There was, however, one wedding guest whose movements could not be entirely accounted for. He had not attended the rehearsal dinner, choosing instead to remain behind at the ranch. When initially questioned, his responses were vague and inconsistent, raising immediate concerns for the detectives. He initially resisted cooperation, refusing to provide details about his evening and expressing a reluctance to speak with the police. Seeking clarity, detectives decided to interview him a third time, traveling directly to his residence in Northern California without warning. This time the guest was cooperative. His wife presented photographs from her phone showing him at the rehearsal dinner, resolving the confusion about his whereabouts. He also voluntarily provided a deoxyribonucleic acid sample, which ultimately cleared him of any involvement. With the wedding guests eliminated as suspects, the investigation turned to other individuals who had access to the property. Nancy had recently decided to sell Paradise Ranch, finding the upkeep of the large estate to be too much work. She wanted to simplify her life and devote herself full-time to her faith, teaching others about the Bible. In preparation for the sale, she had hired several local contractors to perform repairs, painting, and plumbing on the property. Among the evidence left in Nancy's cottage was her iPad case, surrounded by pamphlets, notes, and a business card for a painter named Carlo Fuentes Flores. When contacted by Detective Cole, Carlo was polite, cooperative, and friendly. He recalled painting at the property and remembered Nancy fondly, mentioning that she was a hard worker who had even given him a tamale during his shift. He claimed to have seen nothing unusual during his time at the ranch. Attention then shifted to a general contractor named Sean Bloom, who had previously worked on the house. Amanda reported that her mother and Bloom had experienced a highly contentious dispute over the quality of his work, resulting in his termination. Bloom was angry about the delay in receiving payment, which was scheduled to be held in escrow until the closing of the property sale. When interviewed, Bloom made no secret of his dislike for Nancy, admitting their professional relationship had been difficult and that he had threatened legal action to secure his money. However, after initially hesitating and consulting with his attorney, Bloom voluntarily submitted a deoxyribonucleic acid sample. The results cleared him entirely. The investigation began to stall. The detectives had exhausted their immediate leads, and the local community was growing anxious, demanding answers. In an effort to narrow down the window of the crime, investigators conducted a meticulous review of Nancy's phone records. They discovered a crucial piece of data: a 911 call placed from her phone at exactly 12:17 in the morning. The call had lasted for 0 seconds, indicating it had been terminated almost instantly, as if the phone had been violently snatched from her hand. This provided investigators with a precise timestamp for the assault. 12 days into the investigation, the forensic laboratory delivered a major development. They had successfully isolated unknown male deoxyribonucleic acid from the bloodstain on the pillow found in Nancy's bedroom. The profile was run through the national database, but no matches were found, indicating the perpetrator had no prior felony record. As the detectives continued to search for a match, they were forced to look at a painful possibility closer to home. Information arose suggesting that Nancy had experienced a strained, difficult relationship with her son, Chad. When interviewed, Chad admitted he had not spoken to his mother face-to-face in 5 years, harboring deep resentment over the religious upbringing of his childhood. He had cut his mother off from contact with his children, and their final communication had been a series of tense text messages sent the night before she disappeared. Chad was highly distrustful of law enforcement and refused to provide a voluntary deoxyribonucleic acid sample. Detectives placed him under surveillance, watching him consume several beers at a local establishment. When he drove away, he was stopped and arrested for driving with an open container. The empty beer bottles from his truck were sent to the laboratory, but the resulting profile cleared him of any connection to the crime scene. With all immediate suspects cleared and no new leads, Detective Cole and his team faced a daunting wall. It was then that they decided to utilize a relatively new investigative tool, one that had never been used in their county before: a Google geofence. Geofencing allowed investigators to draw a virtual boundary around a specific location and request data from Google regarding any cellular devices that were active within that boundary during a specific time frame. Because Paradise Ranch was situated in a highly remote, rural area, the presence of any unknown devices would be highly significant. Upon serving the search warrant to Google, the department received a set of coordinates. The data showed the devices of the wedding guests, which had already been accounted for. But as they zoomed in on Nancy's cottage, a single device stood out. It had pinged inside Nancy's studio at 1:33 and again at 1:52 in the morning, right in the window of her disappearance. The device was identified by a unique number assigned by Google. Investigators immediately drafted another warrant to obtain the subscriber information for that device. In November, the results arrived. The device belonged to Carlo Fuentes Flores, the polite, mild-mannered painter. The revelation was a shock. Carlo had been cooperative, had no criminal record in either the United States or Mexico, and was known as a dedicated family man, a neat professional, and a polite contractor. But the geofence data placed his phone inside Nancy's home at the exact hour of her abduction. To build an airtight case, investigators needed to obtain Carlo's deoxyribonucleic acid without alerting him to their suspicions. They initiated surveillance, following him to a local restaurant where he had lunch with his wife. When they departed, they left behind a plastic bottle from which Carlo had drunk. Investigators retrieved the bottle and sent it to the lab. The match was indisputable. The deoxyribonucleic acid on the bottle matched the profile found on the bloody pillow inside the cottage. Armed with this evidence, Detective Cole and his partner brought Carlo in for questioning. The interrogation began quietly, with investigators placing Carlo on the property, asking him about his work painting the decks and confirming his familiarity with the layout of the ranch. Carlo initially maintained his innocent persona, claiming he did not even know Nancy stayed in the studio and expressing sadness over her disappearance. Then the detectives shifted their approach. They revealed that they possessed undeniable scientific evidence linking him to the room. They explained that they knew he had returned to the property that night. The psychological shift in the room was palpable.
Carlo S. Polite de minor
crumbled. He admitted he had made a terrible mistake. He initially claimed that he had returned to the property in the middle of the night to retrieve a ladder for his next job, and while backing up his truck, had accidentally struck Nancy. He claimed he carried her inside the cottage to help her, where she subsequently
collapsed.
But the physical evidence did not support a simple vehicular accident. Detectives pushed further, questioning him about the blood spatter and the nature of the assault. Carlo eventually admitted to a much more sinister reality. He confessed that he had entered her home with the intent to assault her, that he had raped her, and that he had ultimately suffocated her with a pillow to prevent her from identifying him. In a stunning moment during the confession, Carlo offered to lead the detectives to Nancy's remains. They placed him in a vehicle and began a long, quiet drive due east toward the arid, desert-like landscape of the Carrizo Plain. The search in the vast, open territory was difficult. Carlo struggled to remember the exact location, stopping at several different spots as anxiety grew. Among the search team, finally, Detective Cole spotted a small, unnatural mound of rocks stacked in a circle off the side of the road. As they approached, the grim reality was laid bare. Scattered by wildlife, the skeletal remains of Nancy Woodrum were discovered. Carlo fell to his knees, weeping and expressing contrition, even asking the detectives to tell his young daughter that he was sorry for his monumental mistake. Back at the station, Carlo completed his confession and wrote an apology letter to Nancy's family. He was formally arrested and charged with first-degree murder, with special circumstances, rather than proceeding to a lengthy trial, which would have subjected both families to extensive publicity. The case was resolved through a slow plea. The defense had attempted to suppress his confession, arguing that his Miranda rights should have been administered in Spanish, his native language. However, the judge denied the motion, noting that Carlo possessed an excellent command of English and had clearly understood his rights. In January of 2022, the judge reviewed the evidence and found Carlo Fuentes Flores guilty of first-degree murder during the commission of a rape and burglary. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Though the legal process had reached its conclusion, the pain of Nancy's loss remained. Her family chose to remember her not by the tragedy of her final hours, but by the beauty of the life she had lived. Amanda continued the tradition of riding her mother's beloved horse, Montana, passing the passion down to her own daughter, keeping the spirit of Nancy Woodrum alive under the California sun. In the mountain valleys of Summit County, Utah, the town of Heber City sits like a jewel in a rugged landscape. It is a place where wealth and rustic beauty exist side by side, where the clean mountain air and the towering peaks suggest a clean, uncomplicated way of life. But in the spring of 2022, this quiet enclave became the setting for a story of ambition, deception, and a betrayal that would capture the attention of the nation. The story centered on Corey Richens, a young, energetic mother of 3 boys, and her husband, Eric Richens. To those who watched from the outside, the Richens family was the very picture of the American dream. Eric was a successful businessman, the owner of a thriving stonemasonry company called C&E Masonry, which generated millions of dollars in revenue. He was an avid outdoorsman, a dedicated father, and a deeply religious man who had served a mission for his church in his youth. Corey was equally ambitious, having grown up in a hardworking family that moved frequently. She had spent her youth cleaning the massive homes of the wealthy in nearby Park City. She possessed a fierce desire to be on the other side of that equation, to be the owner of the mansions rather than the one sweeping their
floors.
She launched a real estate business, K. Richens Realty, focusing on acquiring, renovating, and flipping residential properties. Her business grew rapidly, and by 2021, she was managing 15 projects simultaneously. But behind the polished facade of their success, a quiet rot was eating away at the foundation of their marriage. The tension had begun early, on the very day of their backyard wedding, when Eric's mother presented Corey with a prenuptial agreement designed to protect the family's masonry business. Though deeply hurt, Corey signed the document, and the couple went on to build a life together, welcoming 3 sons in quick succession. As Corey's real estate ventures expanded, so did her appetite for risk.
She
became focused on a massive, partially completed estate in Midway, Utah, a property valued at nearly $3 million that she believed could be flipped for a massive profit. To secure her real estate acquisitions, Corey began taking out significant, high-interest loans, known as hard money loans, without her husband's knowledge. In 2020, Eric discovered that Corey had secretly taken out a $250,000 line of credit against their family home, a property that he owned outright. The discovery shattered his trust in his wife. Concerned for the financial security of his young sons, Eric secretly consulted a divorce attorney and quietly restructured his estate, creating a living trust that named his sister, Katie, as the trustee and executor, effectively cutting Corey out of his personal holdings. Despite the internal strife, the couple continued to live together, presenting a united front to their friends and community. But on the night of March 3rd, 2022, the tension reached a fatal climax. According to Corey, she and Eric were celebrating a major business success, having finally secured the contract for the Midway mansion. She claimed she prepared a celebratory mixed drink for her husband before going to sleep in her son's bedroom to comfort the child after a night terror. At approximately 3 o'clock in the morning, Corey placed a frantic call to 911, reporting that her husband was cold to the touch and not breathing. First responders arrived at the scene to find Eric lying on the bedroom floor. Despite their efforts, he could not be revived. The initial assessment by paramedics on the scene suggested the possibility of a brain aneurysm, given the presence of fluid and blood. Eric's sister, Katie, arrived at the home in a state of raw, agonizing grief, unable to comprehend how her healthy, athletic brother could have died so suddenly. But the illusion of a natural death quickly evaporated. The medical examiner's autopsy report revealed that Eric had died from acute drug intoxication. The drug in his system was fentanyl, and the concentration was 5 times the lethal limit. Furthermore, the toxicology analysis indicated that the drug was not medical grade, but rather illicitly manufactured fentanyl, the kind typically sourced from the illicit market. A criminal investigation was immediately launched. The sudden death of a prominent young businessman from a massive overdose of street drug sent shockwaves through the community. The tension between the two families erupted almost immediately. The morning after a gathering at the home, Corey hired a locksmith to drill open Eric's personal safe in search of his will. Eric's sister, Amy, arrived at the property, and a physical altercation ensued, resulting in Corey being charged with misdemeanor assault. As the months passed, Corey began to cultivate a public persona as a grieving widow. She self-published a children's book titled Are You With Me? Designed to help young children cope with the sudden loss of a parent. The book, written from a child's perspective and answered by the voice of a deceased father, was dedicated to her late husband. Corey appeared on local television stations, presenting herself as an empathetic, vulnerable mother navigating the difficult path of grief. But behind the scenes, the lead detective, Jeff O'Driscoll, and a private investigator retained by the Richens family were systematically dismantling her
story.
A forensic analysis of Corey's cellular phone records revealed a frequent, frantic pattern of communication with a woman named Carmen Lauber, a former housekeeper with a history of drug-related arrests. Investigators executed a search of Lauber's residence, uncovering drug paraphernalia and a copy of Eric's obituary taped to her mirror. Faced with severe criminal charges, Lauber agreed to cooperate with the authorities. She revealed that Corey had approached her on multiple occasions, asking her to procure strong pain medication and specifically requesting fentanyl. Lauber admitted she had delivered the illicit pills to Corey, hiding them at one of Corey's renovation properties. The timeline of these transactions aligned with several instances where Eric had become mysteriously ill. In 2019, during a trip to Greece, Eric had suffered a severe, sudden illness after consuming a drink prepared by Corey, leading him to contact his sister and express his fear that his wife had tried to poison him. More significantly, on Valentine's Day of 2022, just weeks before his death, Corey had purchased a bagel sandwich for Eric. After consuming a single bite, Eric experienced a severe allergic reaction, requiring the use of his son's epinephrine auto-injector and a heavy dose of antihistamines. He survived, but texted a friend afterward, stating that he believed his wife had tried to kill him. The financial analysis further solidified the motive. Corey was in desperate financial straits, carrying millions of dollars in debt from her real estate ventures. She had allegedly defrauded her close friend, Chelsea Barney, of $45,000 in a real estate transaction and was facing lawsuits from other homebuyers who claimed she had sold them properties with severe, undisclosed structural defects. On May 8, 2023, Corey Richens was arrested and charged with aggravated murder and multiple counts of possession of controlled substances with intent to distribute. While in custody at the Summit County Jail, further evidence of her consciousness of guilt emerged. During a routine search of her cell, deputies discovered a handwritten, 4-page letter addressed to her mother. The letter, which became known as the Walk the Dog letter, instructed her mother to direct Corey's brother to testify that Eric had obtained his pain pills from Mexico, an apparent attempt to manufacture an alternative explanation for the source of the fentanyl. The prosecution also uncovered a secret romantic motive. For years, Corey had been engaged in a clandestine affair with a local handyman, Josh Grossman. The two had exchanged thousands of text messages, with Corey expressing her desire to escape her marriage and her dream of living with him on the Midway estate. Once she secured her husband's life insurance and estate payouts. In late 2024, the high-profile murder trial began in the Summit County Courthouse. The prosecution, led by Brad Blutworth, presented a meticulous case, calling Eric's family, forensic accountants, and the drug suppliers to the stand. The most anticipated witness was Corey's former lover, Josh Grossman. On the stand, Grossman was visibly emotional, recounting their affair and revealing that in the weeks following Eric's death, Corey had asked him if he had ever killed anyone during his military service and how it had felt. The trial took an extraordinary turn when, after 13 days of prosecution testimony, the defense team, led by public defenders Kathy Nestor and Wendy Lewis, announced they were resting their case without calling a single witness. They argued that the prosecution had failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt how the fentanyl had actually been administered to Eric. After deliberating for less than 3 hours, the 8-member jury returned a unanimous verdict. Corey Richens was found guilty of aggravated murder and all related charges. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Her parental rights were subsequently terminated, and her 3 young sons were adopted by Eric's sister, ensuring they would grow up surrounded by the family that had fought so tirelessly for their father's justice. The small city of Willard, Ohio, is a place where the railroad tracks run deep through the history of the town. It is a community of hardworking people where families stay for generations and where the quiet of the rural landscape is rarely interrupted by violence. But for nearly a quarter of a century, a dark question mark hung over Huron County, a mystery that began with a submerged car and ended with a brilliant piece of modern forensic analysis. The mystery began on a cold October night in 2001. Regina Roe Hicks was a young, vibrant mother of a 4-year-old boy named Montana. She was a woman of independent spirit, known for her love of country music, her tomboyish nature, and her pride in her white Chevrolet Camaro, a vehicle that was a common sight on the rural roads of Willard. Regina had been married to Paul Hicks, a railroad foreman who worked for the CSX Railway Company. The marriage had been troubled, marked by allegations of control and volatile arguments. The tension had escalated after a suspicious house fire in the summer of 2001, which resulted in an insurance payout of $60,000. The financial independence allowed Regina to file for divorce, purchase her Camaro, and begin a new relationship. On the evening of October 18, 2001, Regina was scheduled to pick up her son from Paul at the home of his close friend, Stephen Gates. She never arrived. For 4 days, her family and friends searched desperately for her and her distinctive car. On the morning of October 22nd, a local farmer noticed something unusual in the middle of a deep irrigation pond on his property. A dive team was dispatched, and they recovered Regina's white Camaro from the muddy depths of the pond. Inside, on the passenger side floorboard, lay the body of Regina Hicks. The physical evidence within the vehicle immediately suggested foul play. The driver's side seat was pushed all the way back, indicating a much larger person had been driving the car when it entered the water. Regina's boots and clothing were caked with mud in a manner inconsistent with her simply sitting in the car. And there was a physical swipe of mud on the passenger door, suggesting her body had been placed inside the vehicle. The autopsy revealed that Regina had suffered 3 blunt force strikes to her head, sufficient to stun or render her unconscious, and that she had ultimately drowned while unconscious inside the vehicle. Her toxicology report was entirely clear of any drugs or alcohol. Despite the highly suspicious circumstances, the investigation went cold. Paul Hicks possessed an alibi, claiming he was waiting for Regina at his friend's house, and that she had simply failed to show up, suggesting she may have been involved in drug activity. For over a decade, Regina's mother, Losella, fought tirelessly for justice, erecting billboards and pleading with the community for information before ultimately passing away from cancer without receiving answers. The breakthrough in the case would not come from Willard, but from a dramatic structure fire that occurred nearly 100 miles away in Goshen, Ohio, in the summer of 2015. In the early morning hours of June 18, 2015, firefighters responded to a massive blaze at a home owned by Paul Hicks, who had purchased the property as an investment. The house was completely engulfed in flames, and investigators discovered 2 5-gallon gasoline cans inside the structure, indicating the fire was an act of arson. Hicks, who was working out of town at the time, assisted investigators in retrieving a digital video recorder system that had been preserved inside a fireproof gun safe. The surveillance footage revealed 2 individuals clad in white Tyvek protective suits carrying out a television before pouring gasoline and igniting the residence. One of the individuals in the video possessed long, curly blonde hair that was prominently displayed beneath the protective hood. Paul Hicks immediately identified the female arsonist as his ex-girlfriend, Kelly, with whom he was engaged in a bitter child custody dispute. Kelly was arrested on an outstanding warrant and subjected to intense
questioning.
She vehemently denied any involvement in the arson, claiming she was asleep at her mother's home miles away. The investigation took a dramatic turn when a civil attorney representing the insurance company, Zachary McCune, began analyzing the digital evidence. He discovered that the phone records indicating Kelly had harassed Paul with over 90 calls on the night of the fire were fraudulent. Paul had utilized a service called Spoof Card to manipulate the caller identification, making it appear as though the calls were originating from Kelly's phone. Further investigation revealed that a close associate of Paul's had purchased a high-quality wig and a custom-made silicone mask of Kelly's face from a website called That's My Face, using photographs provided by Paul. The individual in the surveillance video was not Kelly, but rather an accomplice, wearing a custom disguise designed to frame her for the crime. As the details of the elaborate arson scheme became public, the Bureau of Criminal Investigation in Ohio took another look at the cold case of Regina Hicks. They recognized the same pattern of behavior, a highly calculated attempt to utilize fire and deception to resolve a personal and financial dispute. The key to the cold case lay with Paul's lifelong friend, Stephen Gates. Under pressure from a persistent local true crime podcaster, Ashley Ford, and the renewed focus of BCI investigators, Gates finally decided to speak. In exchange for an immunity agreement, Gates revealed the truth of what had occurred on his property 24 years earlier. He admitted that Regina had arrived to pick up her son and that a violent argument had ensued between her and Paul. Gates claimed he walked away to work in his garage, and when he returned, he discovered Regina's body in the passenger seat of her Camaro. Paul Hicks informed him that she was dead and warned him that he was now an accomplice. Gates admitted he had followed Paul to the pond and watched him drive the Camaro into the water to conceal the crime. On April 22, 2025, Paul Hicks was arrested and indicted for the murder and kidnapping of Regina Hicks. The trial, held in the Huron County Courthouse, presented the jury with a powerful combination of historical physical evidence and the devastating testimony of Stephen Gates. After a brief deliberation, the jury returned a verdict of guilty on all counts. Paul Hicks was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. For Kelly, the verdict brought a profound sense of relief and custody of her young son. For the family of Regina Hicks, it was the final, hard-won resolution of a 24-year journey toward justice, proving that even the most carefully constructed masks of deception will eventually crumble under the steady pursuit of truth. The quiet spaces of the American landscape often hold a profound beauty where rolling hills, ancient oak trees, and tight-knit neighborhoods suggest an enduring peace. Yet, history has shown that the human heart is a complex and sometimes dark terrain, capable of harboring deep deceptions beneath a facade of ordinariness. In these spaces, when tragedy strikes, the burden of uncovering the truth falls upon the shoulders of dedicated investigators, forensic scientists, and prosecutors who work tirelessly to restore order and ensure justice. This narrative explores 4 distinct chronicles of deception, examining the psychological underpinnings of those who sought to manipulate the truth and celebrating the meticulous efforts of the investigative forces who dismantled their elaborate schemes. Part 1. The False Muse of Mourning. The high mountain country of Summit County, Utah, is known for its crisp air and the quiet dignity of its small towns. In Camas, a picturesque community nestled against the Uinta Mountains, life moves at a deliberate pace. It was here on the cold morning of March 4th, 2022, that the silence of the night was shattered by a desperate call to emergency services. At slightly after 3 o'clock in the morning, Corey Richens placed a call to 911. Her voice, trembling with apparent panic, reported that her husband, Eric Richens, was not breathing and was cold to the touch. The dispatcher, maintaining a calm and professional demeanor, instructed her to begin chest compressions, counting out the rhythm over the telephone line. Within minutes, paramedics, firefighters, and sheriff deputies arrived at the residence, their emergency lights casting long, flashing shadows across the snow-covered driveway. Inside the home, the scene was one of frantic activity. First responders found Eric Richens lying on his back on the bedroom floor. He had no pulse and was not breathing. A mechanical cardiopulmonary resuscitation device was deployed, its rhythmic, metallic thudding filling the bedroom with a somber cadence as medical personnel worked desperately to revive him. In the hallway, body-worn cameras captured the initial confusion of the responding deputies. Corey stood nearby, explaining that they had been celebrating a major financial milestone for her real estate business earlier that evening. She stated they had shared a drink before bed, after which she had gone to sleep in one of her son's rooms because the child was experiencing night terrors. Upon returning to her own bed, she claimed she found Eric unresponsive. Despite the exhaustive efforts of the emergency medical technicians, Eric Richens was officially declared deceased at 3:58 in the morning. He was only 39 years old, a devoted father of 3 young boys, and a highly respected local businessman who co-owned a successful masonry company. 2. The community, his sudden passing was an incomprehensible shock. He was athletic, active, and by all appearances, in excellent health. As the community rallied around the young widow, Corey began to channel her grief into a creative endeavor. She spoke publicly about the immense struggle of helping her 3 young sons, aged 10, 9, and 6, process the sudden loss of their father, finding no suitable literature to comfort them during the difficult nighttime hours. Corey announced that she had written a children's book on grief, titled, Are You With Me? To the public, she was the epitome of resilience. She appeared on local television programs, her voice steady and her appearance composed, as she described how the book was designed to reassure children that a deceased parent's love remains present in their lives. She dedicated the volume to her amazing husband and wonderful father, featuring a drawing of their family of 5. Her story touched the hearts of many, portraying a tragic loss transformed into a source of hope for others. However, beneath this polished narrative of maternal devotion and creative healing, a very different reality was beginning to emerge. The county coroner's office had a legal obligation to perform an autopsy on any young, healthy individual who died under unexpected circumstances. When the toxicology report was finalized, the findings sent shockwaves through the sheriff's department. The cause of death was not a natural event, such as an aneurysm, as had been initially hypothesized. Instead, the report indicated acute drug intoxication. The substance identified was fentanyl, and the concentration in Eric's system was 5 times the lethal dosage. Furthermore, the analysis determined that the substance was illicitly manufactured rather than medical grade, indicating it had been obtained from the streets. The discovery of a massive, lethal quantity of fentanyl in a man who had no history of illicit drug use shifted the inquiry from a tragic medical mystery to a criminal investigation. Detectives with the Summit County Sheriff's Office began to look closely at the family's financial and personal circumstances. Eric's family had been suspicious from the very beginning. They knew that behind the couple's affluent lifestyle, serious financial fractures had developed. Corey, who had founded a real estate flipping business called K. Richens Realty, was driven by an intense ambition to acquire luxury properties. Her grandest project was a distressed, unfinished mansion in Midway, Utah, valued at nearly $3 million. She dreamed of turning it into a lavish event space, but the acquisition required an immense amount of capital to fund her ambitions. She had taken out high-interest, short-term hard money loans, accumulating a staggering debt of over $4,500,000. In 2020, Eric discovered that Corey had secretly secured a $250,000 line of credit against their family home, a property that he solely owned, by forging his signature on the financial documents. This profound betrayal led Eric to consult with a divorce attorney and quietly alter his estate planning. He established a trust, naming his 3 sons as the sole beneficiaries and designating his sister, Katie, as the trustee and executor, effectively cutting Corey out of his estate and ensuring the home remained secure for his children. The tension between Corey and Eric's family erupted into a physical altercation just 2 days after his death. Upon realizing that Eric's will was stored in a safe, Corey hired a locksmith to gain access. Eric's sister, Amy, intervened, revealing that Corey had been largely excluded from the estate. A heated argument ensued, resulting in Corey being charged with and subsequently found guilty of assault. At the funeral, the division between the 2 families was stark and uncomfortable, with Corey and her supporters standing completely apart from Eric's relatives. As detectives dug deeper, they focused on how the lethal dose of fentanyl had entered Eric's system. They uncovered a pattern of behavior that suggested the fatal event on March 4th was not the first time Eric's life had been
threatened.
In 2019, during a vacation to Greece, Eric had become violently ill after drinking a beverage served to him by Corey. Because he was taking medication for Lyme disease at the time, which strictly prohibited alcohol, he had ordered a non-alcoholic drink, but immediately suspected it had been spiked. He had called his sister in a panic, stating he believed Corey was attempting to poison him. A more recent and chilling incident occurred on Valentine's Day in 2022, only weeks before his death. Corey had purchased a sandwich from a local diner and left it for Eric with a loving note. After taking a single bite, Eric suffered a severe allergic reaction, requiring the use of his son's epinephrine pen and a massive dose of antihistamines before falling into a deep sleep. He later texted a close friend, stating, "You almost lost me this time," and expressing his suspicion that his wife was trying to poison him. With this context, investigators began a meticulous digital search. They secured search warrants for Corey's electronic devices and analyzed her communication
logs.
A private investigator hired by the Richens family had already identified a key figure in Corey's phone records, a woman named Carmen Lauber, who worked as a housekeeper for Corey's real estate business and had a history of drug-related offenses. Detectives focused on Carmen, eventually searching her residence and discovering evidence of drug distribution. Facing substantial prison time, Carmen agreed to cooperate with the prosecution. She revealed that Corey had approached her on 2 separate occasions, asking her to procure strong pain medication. Carmen admitted to delivering 30 fentanyl pills to Corey in exchange for $900 in cash. According to Carmen, Corey later requested an even stronger dosage, complaining that the first batch was not powerful enough.
A
second delivery of pills was made shortly before Eric's death. The digital evidence against Corey continued to mount. A forensic analysis of Her search history revealed highly incriminating queries executed after the Sheriff's Department executed a search warrant at her home. She had searched for luxury prisons for the rich in America. Can police recover deleted messages on an iPhone, and what is a lethal dose of fentanyl? While the defense argued that these searches were a natural, albeit anxious, reaction to being accused of a crime, prosecutors viewed them as a clear indication of a consciousness of
guilt.
The financial motive was clear, but investigators also uncovered a personal incentive. Corey had been engaged in a secret, multi-year romantic affair with a local handyman named Josh Grossman. Their text messages, filled with declarations of affection, revealed Corey's desire to escape her marriage.
In a
message sent less than 48 hours before Eric's death, Corey urged Josh to hang in there until Friday, promising that life was going to be different. During his emotional testimony at trial, Josh recalled a driving conversation after Eric's death where Corey asked him if he had ever killed anyone during his military service in Iraq and how it had made him feel. Further evidence of desperation came from Corey's own jail cell. During a routine search, deputies discovered a handwritten, 4-page letter hidden in her cell. The document, dubbed the Walk the Dog letter, contained detailed instructions for her mother to relay to her brother, Ronnie.
Corey outlined a
fabricated narrative that her brother was supposed to present under oath, claiming that Eric had obtained fentanyl and other pain medications from ranch workers in Mexico. The prosecution argued this was a clear attempt at witness tampering, while the defense claimed it was merely a draft of a fictional manuscript. On May 8, 2023, Corey Richens was arrested and charged with aggravated murder and multiple counts of possession of controlled substances with intent to distribute. In 2024, prosecutors amended the charges to include attempted murder for the Valentine's Day sandwich incident. The trial took place in a small, crowded courtroom in the mountain town of Heber
City.
Over the course of 13 days, the prosecution presented a mountain of circumstantial, financial, and digital evidence. They painted a portrait of a woman trapped by millions of dollars of debt, driven by a desire for a grander life, who chose to eliminate her husband to secure a financial windfall and freedom, only to write a children's book about the very grief she had authored. When the prosecution rested, the courtroom waited in anticipation for the defense's response. In a surprising turn of events, the defense team, led by public defenders Kathy Nestor and Wendy Lewis, announced that they would call no witnesses and immediately rested their case. They maintained that the prosecution had failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt how the fentanyl had actually been administered to Eric, as no forensic evidence of the drug was found in their bedroom. The jury of 8, consisting of 6 men and 2 women, deliberated for less than 3 hours. On the evening of the trial's final day, the courtroom fell silent as the verdict was read. Corey Richens was found guilty of aggravated murder and all remaining charges. The verdict brought a sense of profound relief and justice to Eric's family, who embraced one another outside the courthouse. The three young boys who had lost their father to violence and their mother to the justice system were placed in the loving custody of Eric's sister, where they could begin the long process of healing, surrounded by the memory of a father who had loved them above all else. Part 2. The Echo of Oakley Street. In Evansville, Indiana, the community is bound by a shared respect for those who serve. Firefighters are viewed as the bedrock of safety, individuals who willingly put their lives on the line to protect their neighbors. Robert Dorr, known to everyone as Robbie, was a legendary figure within the Evansville Fire Department. Over a career spanning 28 years, he had established himself as a courageous leader, a dedicated mentor to rookies, and a true hero who had once rescued a young child from a burning building. On the cold evening of February 26, 2019, Robbie arrived home at his residence on Oakley Street after completing a demanding 12-hour shift. He was looking forward to a quiet evening with his wife, Elizabeth Fox Dorr, whom everyone called Becky. The couple had been married for only 6 months, a union that Becky hoped would finally bring her the stability she had sought through 5 previous marriages. As Robbie pulled his truck into the driveway, Becky was inside the house, preparing a dinner of thick-cut pork chops and macaroni and cheese. She saw the headlights of his vehicle illuminate the driveway. Within a minute, the quiet neighborhood was shattered by the sound of 5 rapid gunshots. Neighbors immediately called 911, reporting the sounds of gunfire. Becky also placed a call to emergency services, her voice hysterical as she reported finding her husband lying on the concrete driveway, surrounded by
blood.
When police officers and firefighters arrived on the scene, they found Robbie unresponsive with a gunshot wound to the head. His colleagues from the fire department, arriving in full force, were devastated to discover that the victim was one of their own. They initiated cardiopulmonary resuscitation, but Robbie's injuries were fatal. He was pronounced deceased at the scene. The loss of a beloved firefighter sent shockwaves through the city of Evansville. The police department immediately mobilized, treating the investigation with the highest priority. However, the initial search of the crime scene yielded surprisingly little evidence. No shell casings were recovered from the driveway or the surrounding street, suggesting the shooter had either meticulously gathered them or used a weapon that did not eject casings. As detectives began to piece together Robbie's life, they discovered that the couple's 6-month marriage was far from the picture of domestic bliss Becky had
Portrayed.
Robbie had begun to harbor deep insecurities regarding Becky's fidelity, noting that she was highly protective of her cell phone and frequently deleted her text messages. Furthermore, significant financial strain had developed. Immediately after their wedding, Becky had purchased a new vehicle and expensive furniture, stretching their finances to the limit and forcing Robbie to utilize high-interest credit cards to make ends meet. During the autopsy, the forensic pathologist recovered several projectiles from Robbie's body. The ballistics analysis revealed a highly unusual detail. The projectiles were a mixture of different ammunition types, including jacketed bullets, lead ball projectiles, and plastic shotgun wadding. A firearms expert concluded that the weapon used was almost certainly a Taurus Judge, a unique revolver designed to chamber both .45 Colt ammunition and 400 10-bore shotgun shells. This discovery provided investigators with a crucial lead. They began searching records of stolen firearms in the area and discovered that a Taurus Judge revolver had been stolen from a local pawn shop, River City Pawn, in September of 2018. The employee of the pawn shop at the time was a young man named Larry Richmond Jr. When detectives investigated Larry Jr.'s background, they found a connection that led directly to Becky's family. Larry Jr.'s father, Larry Richmond Sr., was engaged to Becky's sister, Amanda, who was known as Mandy. Larry Sr. was a convicted felon who had served 20 years in prison for a voluntary manslaughter conviction in his youth and was currently on probation. Mandy had brought him to family gatherings, including Thanksgiving dinner, without disclosing his violent criminal past to her relatives. The investigation took a significant turn when detectives analyzed the digital records of Becky's cell phone. Although Becky claimed she had no contact with Larry Sr. and had been preparing dinner at the time of the shooting sprint, telecommunication records painted a different story. Just minutes before Robbie was executed in his driveway, Becky's phone had received a 4-minute and 18-second call from a number associated with Larry Richmond Sr.
Becky
had deleted this call from her phone's call history immediately after hanging
up.
When confronted by detectives, Becky initially denied the call, but eventually admitted she had spoken to Larry Sr., claiming she deleted the record because she feared investigators would assume they were having an affair. She insisted their conversation had nothing to do with the murder. However, her shifting stories and her immediate inquiry into Robbie's firefighter pension the morning after his murder raised intense suspicion. The pressure on the suspects intensified when Larry Jr., seeking to distance himself from his father's actions, contacted investigators. He admitted that his father possessed several firearms and had buried a plastic container filled with weapons in the backyard of the residence he shared with Mandy.
Deputies secured
a search warrant for Mandy's home and conducted an extensive excavation of the backyard, recovering several hidden firearms, though the specific Taurus Judge used in the murder was not among them. The final piece of the puzzle fell into place after months of technical labor by the high-tech crime unit. Investigators had seized 2 cell phones from Larry Sr. upon his arrest on federal weapons charges, but the devices were protected by complex passcodes. Using specialized decryption software, technicians ran algorithms continuously for nearly 8 months until they finally cracked the security of Larry Sr.'s iPhone. The location data recovered from the device was damning. On the night of February 26, 2019, Larry Sr.'s phone was tracked. moving through the neighborhood of Oakley Street between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock in the evening. The device was recorded lingering in the dark alleyway directly behind Robbie's home. At 6:46, he placed the call to Becky, who informed him that Robbie was on his way home from work. Larry Sr. then powered off his phone, executing the ambush under the cover of darkness before turning the device back on at a nearby gas station at 7:14. In October of 2019, both Becky Dorr and Larry Richmond Sr. were arrested and charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Becky's trial was held first. Her own son, Nathan, took the stand as a witness for the prosecution, testifying to his mother's cold and persistent inquiries about Robbie's pension immediately following his death. The defense maintained that the prosecution's case was based entirely on circumstantial evidence and a deleted phone call, but the jury was unmoved. After 4 hours of deliberation, Becky Dorr was found guilty on all counts and subsequently sentenced to 90 years in prison. The trial of Larry Richmond Sr. followed, despite his defense team's efforts to challenge the cell phone location data and the testimony of a jailhouse informant who claimed Larry had confessed to the crime. The jury returned a guilty verdict after 11 hours of deliberation. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. For Robbie's children and his brothers in the fire department, the convictions brought a long-awaited sense of justice. The Evansville Fire Department dedicated their newest fire truck in honor of Robbie Dorr, ensuring that his legacy of courage and service would continue to protect the citizens of the city he loved, even as his killer remained behind bars for the rest of her natural life. Part 3: The Facade of Fire and the Stillness of the Pond. The rural landscapes of Ohio are dotted with small, industrious towns where generations of families have lived side by side. In Willard, a quiet railroad town in Huron County, and Goshen, a suburb of Cincinnati surrounded by farmland, two seemingly unrelated crimes separated by more than a decade would ultimately converge to expose a calculated master of deception. On the night of June 18, 2015, fire crews in Goshen Township responded to a massive structure fire at a residential property owned by Paul Hicks. Paul, a foreman for the railway company CSX, was staying at a hotel in northern Ohio for his work at the time. The home was completely engulfed in flames, with fire blowing out of every window and door, suggesting an intense and rapid acceleration. Once the fire was extinguished, investigators quickly determined the cause was arson. 2 5-gallon gasoline cans were found inside the charred remains of the home. Fortunately, a sophisticated home security system, which Paul had stored inside 2 fireproof gun safes, survived the blaze. When detectives reviewed the surveillance footage, they observed 2 individuals dressed in white protective suits entering the property in the early morning hours, pouring gasoline throughout the house and carrying out a television. Before igniting the structure, one of the individuals, a female, had long, curly blonde hair flowing over her shoulders, and she paused to look directly at the security camera. Paul Hicks immediately pointed the finger of suspicion at his ex-girlfriend,
Kelly.
He claimed they were embroiled in a bitter custody battle over their young son and that Kelly had been harassing him. He presented his cell phone call log, which showed over 90 incoming calls from Kelly's number on the night of the fire. He also provided footage from a previous incident where a woman matching Kelly's description had vandalized his hot tub. Based on this evidence, a warrant was issued and Kelly was arrested at a local grocery store. However, Kelly vehemently maintained her innocence. She insisted she was sleeping at her mother's residence 35 miles away at the time of the
Fire.
As investigators and an insurance attorney named Zach McCune began to verify her alibi, the elaborate frame-up began to unravel. A forensic analysis of Kelly's actual cell phone records revealed that she had not made any calls to Paul on the night of the fire.
Detectives realized that
The calls showing up on Paul's phone had been routed through a spoofing service designed to disguise the caller's identity. The digital trail of the spoofed calls led back to an Internet Protocol address associated with a prepaid mobile device purchased by a woman Paul was dating. The investigation took a stunning turn when detectives subpoenaed records from a custom manufacturing company called That's My Face. The company's response revealed that Paul's girlfriend had purchased a highly realistic, three-dimensional silicone mask crafted from photographs of Kelly's face.
they
Also discovered a purchase record for a blonde wig matching the hair of the female arsonist. Paul had orchestrated the arson of his own home, utilizing a custom-made mask of his ex-girlfriend to frame her on security footage, all to secure full custody of their son and avoid child support payments. The revelation of Paul Hicks' capacity for elaborate deception drew the attention of cold case investigators in Huron County who had been seeking answers for over a decade regarding the death of Paul's first wife, Regina Rowe Hicks. In October of 2001, Regina, a beloved young mother, had filed for divorce from Paul, having recently received a $30,000 insurance settlement from a fire that had destroyed their previous home. She was building a new life of independence, driving a distinctive white Camaro and dating a new boyfriend. On the evening of October 18, 2001, Regina was scheduled to pick up her 4-year-old son, Montana, from Paul at the home of his best friend, Stephen Gates. Regina never arrived to pick up her son, and she failed to return home. Her family immediately knew something was wrong, as she would never have abandoned her child. 4 days later, a local farmer noticed an object submerged in a pond on his property. Emergency services responded, and divers recovered Regina's white Camaro from the water. Inside the vehicle, on the passenger side footwell, investigators discovered Regina's deceased body. The initial investigation was stymied by a lack of direct evidence.
Paul claimed
that Regina had never arrived at the property and suggested she had vanished during a lifestyle spiral involving drugs. his best friend, Stephen Gates, backed his alibi, claiming he and Paul had been waiting for Regina all evening. The autopsy revealed that Regina had suffered 3 blunt force blows to her head, which had incapacitated her, but that she was alive when the car entered the water, as water was found in her lungs. The positioning of her body and the seat adjustments indicated someone of much larger stature had driven the vehicle into the pond and escaped through the open driver's window. For 15 years, Regina's mother, Losella, fought tirelessly for justice, placing billboards throughout the county and pleading with the public for information, but she passed away from cancer without ever learning the truth. The case remained cold until 2023, when a local true crime podcaster, Ashley Ford, began a series of investigative broadcasts, bringing renewed public scrutiny to the case and putting pressure on the original witnesses. Confronted by the Bureau of Criminal Investigation and facing the prospect of prosecution, Stephen Gates decided to break his 24-year silence. Under an immunity agreement, Gates confessed that Regina had indeed arrived at his property on the night of her disappearance. An argument had erupted between Paul and Regina regarding child custody and support. Paul had violently assaulted Regina, rendering her unconscious. Gates admitted that Paul then placed Regina's unconscious body into the passenger seat of her Camaro, forced Gates to follow him in another vehicle, and drove the Camaro into the farm pond, leaving her to drown. Paul then called Regina's phone on the drive back to establish a false digital alibi. On April 22, 2025, Paul Hicks was arrested and charged with the murder and kidnapping of Regina Rowe Hicks. At the trial, the prosecution presented a compelling narrative of a man driven by a pathological need for control, who resorted to violence when his wives or partners attempted to assert their independence. Witnesses testified to his history of domestic abuse and his attempts to manipulate lie detector tests. The jury deliberated for only 3 hours before returning a guilty verdict on all counts. Paul Hicks was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. For Regina's family, the conviction was a long overdue vindication, proving that even after nearly a quarter of a century, the truth could not be permanently submerged. Part 4. The Virtual Boundary. The Central Coast of California is a region of breathtaking beauty, where the rolling hills of Paso Robles are lined with prestigious vineyards, majestic oak trees, and equestrian ranches. It is a destination where people seek tranquility and connection with nature. On a secluded property along El Faro Road, 62-year-old Nancy Woodrum had created her own sanctuary, a vacation rental property she fittingly named Paradise Ranch. Nancy was a beloved figure in the Paso Robles community, operating a popular hair salon and dedicating her free time to her faith as a Jehovah's Witness and her passion for horseback riding. She lived alone in a cozy cottage on the property, having lost her husband and 2 of her children to tragedy in years past. Her strong faith and gentle nature endeared her to everyone she met. On the weekend of May 4th, 2018, a large wedding party checked into the main house at Paradise Ranch. The guests, numbering over 20, enjoyed the scenic beauty of the estate and attended a rehearsal dinner at a nearby winery, returning to the property late on Friday evening. On Saturday morning, Nancy's daughter, Amanda, grew concerned when her mother failed to appear for a scheduled Bible study. Amanda sent a neighbor to check on her, who discovered the front door of Nancy's cottage wide open and the television blaring, but Nancy was nowhere to be found. Amanda rushed to the property and walked into a scene of horror. Inside her mother's bedroom, she discovered bloodstains on the floor, on the headboard, and on a decorative pillow. Nancy's purse, keys, and cell phone were left behind on a bench. Amanda immediately called 911, reporting her mother missing under highly suspicious circumstances. Sheriff's deputies and search and rescue teams descended on Paradise Ranch, launching a massive search of the surrounding foothills and dry riverbeds. They utilized helicopters and tracking dogs, but found no trace of Nancy. The investigation was highly complex, as the presence of over 20 wedding guests on the property created a large pool of potential suspects who had access to the estate. A critical clue emerged on Saturday evening when a California Highway Patrol officer located several items of bedding and clothing discarded along a highway 6 miles away. Amanda confirmed the items belonged to her mother, suggesting Nancy had been wrapped in her own sheets and transported from the property, either severely injured or deceased. Detectives began an exhaustive process of elimination, interviewing every member of the wedding party and collecting DNA samples. They also investigated local contractors who had been performing repairs on the property, including a painter named Carlo Fuentes Flores and a general contractor with whom Nancy had experienced a financial dispute. While the DNA analysis cleared the initial suspects, the investigation began to stall. Detectives knew they needed a breakthrough to locate Nancy and identify her abductor. They turned to a pioneering forensic technology that had never been utilized in their county, a Google geofencing search warrant. Because a forensic review of Nancy's phone records revealed an aborted 911 call at exactly 12:17 in the morning on the night she vanished. Investigators had a precise timeline. They secured a search warrant directing Google to identify any mobile devices that had been active within a virtual boundary drawn around Nancy's cottage during that specific hour. The results of the geofence warrant provided the crucial breakthrough. A single, unidentified mobile device was recorded pinging inside Nancy's studio cottage at 1:33 and 1:52 in the morning. When investigators secured a secondary warrant for the subscriber information, the device was traced to Carlo Fuentes Flores, the painter. This revelation was a shock to detectives. Carlo was a quiet, polite family man with no prior criminal record who had been highly cooperative during his initial interview. However, as investigators conducted a deep dive into his digital footprint, a darker persona began to emerge. Carlo's search history revealed an obsession with older women, characterized by frequent searches for cougar adult entertainment. Furthermore, detectives discovered that he frequently met with escorts and had recorded numerous encounters on his mobile device. The polite, professional painter possessed a secret, predatory second life. To secure an arrest, detectives placed Carlo under tight surveillance. They followed him to a local restaurant and recovered a plastic beverage bottle he had discarded in a public trash receptacle. The forensic laboratory extracted a deoxyribonucleic acid profile from the bottle and compared it to a bloody handprint discovered on the pillow in Nancy's bedroom. It was a perfect match. On December 18, 2018, Carlo Fuentes Flores was brought in for interrogation. Confronted with the undeniable DNA evidence, his composed demeanor collapsed. He initially claimed that he had accidentally struck Nancy with his vehicle while retrieving a ladder and had taken her body inside to help her. However, as detectives pressed for the truth, Carlo broke down. He admitted that he had entered her home in the middle of the night with the intention of sexually assaulting her. He confessed to raping Nancy and then smothering her with a pillow to prevent her from identifying him. In a somber development, Carlo offered to lead investigators to her remains. He was placed in a police vehicle and directed detectives to a remote, desolate area of the Carrizo Plain, nearly an hour's drive away. There, beneath a small, crude pile of rocks, investigators recovered Nancy's scattered skeletal remains. To spare both families the pain of a lengthy public trial, Carlo's defense team agreed to a slow plea process. The judge reviewed the overwhelming evidence, including his recorded confession and incriminating jailhouse phone calls to his wife, and found him guilty of first-degree murder with a special circumstance of rape. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The tragic loss of Nancy Woodrum was felt deeply by her family and the community, but the relentless application of modern technology and dedicated police work ensured her killer was brought to justice. Every year, on the anniversary of her passing, the lead detective reaches out to Amanda, a quiet testament to the enduring bond between those who fight for justice and the families of the victims they serve. Epilogue: The triumph of the light. The resolution of these four complex cases serves as a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the relentless pursuit of justice. In each a chronicle, the perpetrators believed they could exploit the vulnerabilities of their victims, hide behind elaborate deceptions, or delete their digital footprints to escape accountability. They viewed those who loved and trusted them as obstacles to be removed or tools to be manipulated. Yet, through the meticulous dedication of law enforcement officers, the objective clarity of forensic science, and the courage of witnesses who chose to speak the truth, the shadows were ultimately dispelled. The modern tools of Justice, from digital geolocation tracking and advanced DNA profiling to the patient extraction of deleted communications, proved that the truth leaves an indelible mark upon the world. While the lives cut short by these senseless acts of violence can never be restored, their memories are honored by the triumph of justice. The communities of Camas, Evansville, Willard, and Paso Robles remain united, their trust restored by the knowledge that those who seek to do harm in the dark will inevitably be brought into the light of accountability, ensuring that the legacy of those they lost will be remembered with dignity, respect, and peace. Introduction: The Anatomy of Secrets. The pursuit of justice is rarely a swift or dramatic spectacle. More often it is a quiet, painstaking endeavor carried out in the shadowed corners of small towns and rural counties. It is found in the meticulous examination of digital data, the patient reevaluation of decades-old files, and the steady, unwavering resolve of investigators who refuse to let the passage of time obscure the truth. In the quiet communities of America, from the sun-drenched vineyards of California to the snow-covered valleys of Utah, the freezing streets of Indiana, and the historic railroad corridors of Ohio, the veneer of peace can sometimes mask profound human conflict. The human capacity for deception is vast, but so too is the collective commitment to uncovering the truth. When a life is violently or deceitfully taken, it leaves an indelible tear in the fabric of a community. The process of mending that tear requires not only technical expertise but a deep sense of empathy for those left behind. By examining the cases that follow, we observe a common thread: the inevitable collapse of carefully constructed falsehoods under the weight of objective truth. Whether through cutting-edge technology or the sudden awakening of a guilty conscience, the truth possesses an extraordinary resilience. These narratives are not merely accounts of crime. They are testaments to the quiet professionals who honor the victims, support the grieving families, and restore balance to the communities they serve. Chapter 1: The Pass of the Oaks. The Central Coast of California is defined by its dramatic transitions. Nestled halfway between the bustling metropolises of San Francisco and Los Angeles lies Paso Robles, a region known historically as El Paso de Robles, or the Pass of the Oaks. It is a landscape of rolling hills dotted with ancient oak trees, quiet horse ranches, and neat rows of grapevines that stretch toward the horizon. To those who visit, it appears to be a fairy tale sanctuary, a place where the air is clean and the pace of life is measured by the changing seasons. Yet, down El Faro Road, a secluded corridor in the heart of this scenic beauty, a quiet tragedy unfolded in the spring of 2018. The property at the center of the mystery was known as Paradise Ranch, a picturesque vacation rental featuring a grand two-story Victorian home with wraparound porches and a weeping willow tree near the driveway. The owner of this ranch-style property was 62-year-old Nancy Woodrum. Nancy was a beloved fixture in the Paso Robles community. she operated a popular salon downtown called The Strand, where she was known for her warmth, generosity, and an innate ability to connect with anyone who sat in her chair. She shared a deep bond with her daughter, Amanda, with whom she also shared a passion for horseback riding and a devout adherence to the faith of Jehovah's Witnesses. Nancy had purchased the El Faro Road property with her husband, Robert, in 2006, intending it to be a project they could remodel together. After Robert passed away, Nancy chose to convert the main house into a vacation rental, while she resided in a modest, separate cottage on the
property.
Her dream was to sell the ranch eventually, so she could devote herself entirely to her faith and full-time ministry. On Friday, the 4th of May, 2018, a wedding party consisting of over 20 guests checked into Paradise Ranch. The bride, who had selected the location online, found the main house charming and welcoming. Nancy had walked over to the guest house to introduce herself, offering a warm hug and mentioning that she would be staying nearby on the property. By Saturday, the 5th of May, the serene atmosphere of Paradise Ranch vanished. Amanda received a phone call from one of her mother's friends, expressing deep concern because Nancy had failed to appear for a scheduled Bible study, an absence that was entirely uncharacteristic of her. Anxious, Amanda contacted a neighbor to check on her mother. The neighbor,